Your morning just got more interesting. Distilled and barrel-picked for your listening pleasure. Bo Bishop, a local sports media legend. What William T. Sherman was to the Union Army, he is to Northern College football. A husband, a father, and middling youth sports coach. He's friends with Central Ohio sporting royalty.
Talking to Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjorken. Coach Day walking on with us right now. Good to see you, buddy. Good buddy, Austin Ward. My good buddy, Tim May, the Tim May Show. The great Doug Lamery's joining us.
Hi, everybody. Dom Tiberi here.
Oh, Reese came in and he handed me papers.
Yeah,
and then he said, "You see that button? That's the only button you need to worry about. Don't touch. There's 8,000 buttons in front of me." Oh, I didn't know what he was talking about.
The one that says on.
We blew the budget on this imaging, and only two guys answered our ad on Craigslist. Ryan Baker and Eric Reeser. Act accordingly. You're now listening to Bishop and Friends.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years.
All right, let's do it live on a Friday edition of the program. Bo and the boys with you for the next three. Reese is here. Cole is here, sitting in for Bake, who's over in Dayton, calling a little bit of high school basketball this weekend. Loaded up for you on a, good Lord, is it gorgeous out Friday edition of the program. Tim Megan to join at 10:30. What three things are we looking to see offensively that need to get answered for Ryan Day and defensively that need to get answered for new defensive coordinator Matt Patricia? We'll get into that in the second hour of the program. 11 o'clock, what we learned this week. 11:30, Doug Maurice will stop by. We haven't talked to Doug in a while. It's been a couple of weeks, so it'll be good to catch up with him as Buckeye Spring Football starts on Monday. And it appears, based on the schedule, Reese, that we will be the home of Buckeye Spring Football right here on the program. That the practices will all happen during our show, and there will be availability during our show for the next, 4 weeks.
Yeah,
that's basically where we're at.
Was wondering if last week was a sign of things to come, where we just play the waiting game for the entire 10 o'clock hour. And we tell our guests, hey, we'd love to have you on. We appreciate the time you give to us. Similarly with our listeners, but could just be a lot of Ryan Day.
They're good. So that's Monday's going to be that way, and there will be some of those throughout the course of the next 3 weeks. It'll be fun to get the Buckeye football team back in the mix. I was thinking about this today, watching the March Madness from yesterday. Conference Championship Week is just awesome. It's awesome when you're in it. Unfortunately, we are not. But when you are, it's awesome. And you get Kentucky winning with a half second left. I will set aside my one umbrage that I take with Championship Week, which is nothing can be on time. So the boys, I made them pick blue bloods other than Ohio State. So if what happened this year happened, there were other rooting interests. So they went as blue as can get. It's Kentucky, Kansas, and Carolina. Kentucky and Kansas were both supposed to start at 9:30. You flip over at 9:30 to either one of those games, and there's 7.5 minutes left in the game that precedes it. You're not even close. I mean, they're 45 minutes off schedule is what happens in a lot of this conference tournament. So other than that, it's a lot of fun. And it did get me thinking about what is the most fun that you can have as a sports fan when you go on a ride physically with a team that you root for. And I've kind of centered around the old bowl system was the best. The old bowl system. So what I mean by that is, in the old days in the bowl system, before the 12-team playoff, before the 4-team playoff, your team gets to go to a bowl. You were going to go to a place that was nice. You're going to go to Miami. You're going to go to New Orleans. You're going to go to Phoenix. You're going to go to Southern California. You're going to go to one of those places. If you get one of the big bowls, you're going to go to one of those places. You're going to get a couple of days around New Year's, which is a fun time of year anyway. And most especially for us, you're going to get out of our winter, and you're going to paratroop into great weather. New Orleans is the only one sometimes that can be a little bit dicey, but you make up for that with booze and food and all the tomfoolery that you can get into in New Orleans. So I think following a team in the old days, your college football team on a bowl trip is the best experience that you can have as a sports fan in our country. I think it's the best. I think that's it. That doesn't really exist anymore. You can still go to all of it, but it's not necessarily the same. Those of you who went to the Rose Bowl this year, the team wasn't there for a week, so you weren't able to be a part of kind of the whole bowl pomp and circumstance that you used to be able to. It's a game. It's played in an incredible venue, but it's a couple of days. It's not kind of a whole week the way that it used to be. I think the second best thing that you can experience as a sports fan in America is if your team makes a run in March. It's the time of year. It's the desperation that comes with it. It's the hopefulness that comes with it. You are going from one location to the next, oftentimes places that you would never consider going consecutively, but also spring is happening. So the weather is improving as the month goes along. Probably the most fun that I've ever had in a month covering something or being along for a ride was the year that Ohio State made it to the Final Four with Jared Sullinger and Aaron Kraft and those guys. That was probably it. That run through March started in the Big Ten tournament in Indianapolis. It included a run all the way to the championship game. My memory serves, lost to Michigan State in that final, Draymond Green in the final. But they got all the way to the final. Then it was Pittsburgh. That was followed by a trip to Boston, which was followed by a trip to New Orleans. And what would happen is you would get on this trip with this team, and it was like a never-ending vacation that you didn't know where the next location would be and what the things to explore would be. But what was cool about it is not just family and friends of those that were on the team, but fans. You would see the same fans at all of the stops, and you'd pick up other fans who were in that vicinity. If you can be on one of those runs, it's about as much fun as I think you can have as a sports fan now. I think it's got a chance to even top the college football experience, because the college football experience is such a, now almost an NFL playoff experience where you're paratrooping in for a day or two. Most people who I knew who went to the national championship game this year flew in. That game was on a Monday. Most people either flew in Sunday. A lot of folks I knew flew in Monday morning for the national championship game Monday night and then flew out Tuesday. That's not this. That's not 5 days in New Orleans or 5 days in Boston in the middle of spring around St. Patty's Day. Like that's not what this is. This type of experience is one that is so valuable for a fan base. It's so valuable for a team. It's just fun. And I kind of centered on it's probably about as much fun as you can have. Reese, when you were at Ohio, did you take part in did it line up? Did you follow any of those runs?
Yeah, so the 2012 MAC championship run that OU went on, they beat Akron in the championship game, and then they went on to upset Michigan in the first round. I went to that Sweet 16 game in St. Louis. Like, buddies and I got into a car and we road tripped to St. Louis to watch them play North Carolina in that loss in overtime. So that, for me, because when you say all this, it brings back those memories of following OU, who had an incredible regular season and then had an incredible run through the Mid-American Conference tournament. And then when they beat Akron in the championship game, you're like, holy bleep, this is a team. And then they went through Michigan, and then they beat South Florida. And then you're like, all right, as soon as they beat the Bulls, you're booking tickets. And all right, we're figuring a way to get there.
Got to get there.
Doesn't matter how. Yeah. And the fact that they delivered in a game against North Carolina, I'll never forget. There was a timeout late, and you saw Ohio go to its corner. North Carolina returned to its corner, and they crossed paths at the court, and it was just like, kids playing adults. And just the size of North Carolina, that I think they were a 4 seed, or maybe they were ranked. They were one of the top 5 teams in the country, that North Carolina squad, and it was just like they don't belong on the same court, but because of the one-offness of this, you get a team playing as hot as OU was in that run, and you get a team like North Carolina that may have overlooked them a little bit. I can't remember what the Tar Heels finished after that, but it makes for one of the most special moments in sports. And so whenever you ask me what's the best time of the year for the sport fan, I'm going to say it's this.
It's pretty great. So that's the same year that Sully and those guys go to the Final Four.
Yeah.
So when I was at Channel 10 at that time, my buddy Greg Miller, who was an OU grad, he followed the Bobcats during that run. So that was going on at the same time. I don't know how you beat it. I don't know how you beat that thing. That final, all right, I pulled it up here.
And I wonder.
Carolina got Kansas. Carolina
got Kansas
was the
in the next round?
Yeah.
Okay.
Carolina was the number 1 seed in the Midwest region. And won 73-65 in overtime against OU, the game that you were at down in St. Louis. And then they got Kansas in the regional final. Kansas was a 2 seed. They beat them 80-67. Kansas went on to beat us in the Final Four in that game that inevitably led to Anthony Davis and Kentucky, John Calipari's only national championship, cutting down the nets in New Orleans. So that was all that same year. By the way, you want to talk about Cole, you were in St. Louis. Like, the idea that Kansas is a 2 seed in St. Louis, you want to talk about a home court. I would imagine that's as big as it gets.
Yeah, they would travel well because they would just have to come from the Kansas City metro area basically to come on over. But, there would be the locals there probably being the Mizzou diehards that they are. Mizzou and Kansas do have a pretty good rivalry, but the Kansas fans would definitely fill that building. It's like 3.5 hours.
Yeah, it's nothing. You ever been on a run through March, Cole?
Definitely not like traveling with the team, which would be awesome. But Notre Dame had back-to-back Elite Eight appearances, which was like way out of character. And honest to goodness, and my college basketball fandom, due to the fact that my team is not traditionally great, is kind of hit and miss sometimes. Yeah. But that was some of the most fun I ever had. It like tight games down to the wire. The competition's insane. When you're a part of it, it's incredible.
I had forgotten it. It is. It's unbelievable. You buy in, you follow it like, and I guess the moral of the story is, damn it, I miss it.
Yeah.
It's FOMO. It's the fear of missing out fear of missing out manifested itself for Buckeye fans, because yesterday I'm watching OU and Toledo go to overtime. Yeah. And the Bobcats missed a 3 with like 3 seconds left in overtime, and the Rockets are now on to the semifinals. But it manifested for me yesterday. It'll manifest today when you're watching the Big Ten quarters. It'll manifest tomorrow, and then it'll be horrible on Saturday, I think, for Buckeye fans. The FOMO of, we're not dancing this year. Again.
No, you miss it. There's something that is so cool about it. There's a magic to it. There is a we're all in this together to it, and we're going to miss it for the 3rd straight year, and it just sucks when you do. The Jackets' big-time struggle last night at home. This is a bit of a scene now in terms of stacking games where points are not accumulated, and it could be a bit of a problem going forward. Remember those game in hand they had? Less of those now going forward, as the Rangers and Jackets are now tied, but the Jackets have that one game in hand. A monster weekend coming up. We will get into that. Lots of spring football getting you set for that, which starts on Monday. We're off and running on a Friday edition, Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
We know everything about you. We know you love the Buckeyes. We know you love the Jackets. We know you're wearing a red shirt. I just freaked the hell out of someone. The Fan.
Welcome to Tire Discounters.
Thanks. I gotta warn you, I drive a hard bargain.
Okay.
So let's hear your first offer.
Well, how about, with any 4-tire purchase, we'll give you a free alignment.
Man, I'm good. All right, let's do it before you change your mind.
And we'll also give you a free oil change.
Ha! I can't believe I talked you into this deal. Sometimes I amaze even myself. Don't tell accounting. But with any 4-tire purchase at Tire Discounters, you get a free alignment and a free full synthetic oil change. See store for details.
Hi, this is Bob Masheter from Dick Masheter Ford. Thank you to all of Central Ohio as we head towards 60 years of doing business in the Buckeye State. Dad opened up in 1967 simply trying to offer a better way to buy a car, and we've been working ever since to serve our neighbors. We have served you through wars, recessions, and even a Chinese virus. Here is to serving you and your kids and your grandkids for the next 60 years, except on Sundays when we're closed, because it's the right thing to do. Still 24/7 at masheterford.net. Thanks.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Guys, listen up. How many of you out there have been diagnosed with sleep apnea? Maybe your partner can't tolerate your snoring every night. You can't stand your CPAP machine. I totally get it. But the good news is there are alternatives to the CPAP machine. And Dr. Mark Levy is here to change your sleep and your life. Trust me, your spouse will thank you later. Dr. Mark Levy can customize an oral appliance that opens your airways, helps you breathe better, and, of course, stops your snoring. That's the main point. It's quick and comfortable and an alternative to those bulky, loud CPAP machines you always hear about. For over 15 years, Dr. Mark Levy has led the way when it comes to treating snoring and sleep apnea, and now he's expanding his practice to better serve his patients with a brand new location in Marysville. I love Marysville. If you're snoring and not sleeping, you need to call Dr. Mark Levy's office today. Do not delay. Schedule your appointment today with Dr. Mark Levy at 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. That's 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. You can also visit him online at sleepbettercolumbus.com. And now, sleepbettermarysville.com too.
A pepperoni pizza for the table.
Thank you.
And may I suggest trying it with our Pepsi Zero Sugar? It has just the right amount of sweetness to complement all that cheesy, saucy goodness, while the carbonation and notes of citrus enhance the flavor profile. Simply divine.
Pepsi Zero Sugar? You've really outdone yourself this time. Pizza deserves Pepsi.
Do you suffer from leg pain, leg swelling, varicose veins, or leg ulcers? Dr. Barry Zeta and Dr. Joseph Senta at Ohio Vein and Vascular Polaris are pioneers in the vein and vascular field. Dr. Zeta and Dr. Senta can perform minimally invasive procedures that will get you back on track to a pain-free life. Stop living with leg pain and start the process to healthy living with a free healthy leg screening. Go to loveyourveins.com or call 614-324-4060. That's 614-324-4060 or loveyourveins.com.
If you miss a little, you'll miss a lot. Search for your favorite fan shows wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe. Every episode comes right to your phone absolutely free. Modern technology, it's a hell of a thing. Do it now. The Fan.
This is Pause Before You Play, and it's time for more game day picks from local sports fans. You're on the air. Who you got?
Actually, I'm not betting. Just chilling and watching the game.
I know that move. A pause. Sounds like you've got a winning strategy.
Exactly. After I set limits and recognized the risk, I knew it was time to stop.
Now that is responsible betting, folks. Sports are fast. Betting shouldn't be. Make a plan at pausebeforeyouplay.org. That's pausebeforeyouplay.org.
2 hours ago, Kyle arrived at the bar.
Hey, what's everyone drinking?
30 minutes ago, Kyle got his friends another round of drinks.
Cheers!
5 minutes ago, Kyle decided to drive home drunk. A minute ago, a law enforcement officer pulled up behind Kyle.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
A chain of events that began 2 hours ago is about to change Kyle's whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Today, expect plenty of sunshine, near record warmth. Your high 78. Tonight, increasing clouds, low 59. Tomorrow, showers and a few late day thunderstorms, high 75. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 TV weather impact forecast on 97.1 The Fan.
During this 10-second promo, Rothman will lose money gambling on something.
People like you come here and blow the family nest egg that built this town.
Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan. If you say something with enough confidence, it must be true. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
You know, I think this from Rich on social. He's old enough to remember having beers at Arlington Cafe with my boys, watching Mike and Scooney take down #1 Auburn in '99. So much fun. Well, so many people who were on that beat, and I remember Bob Baptist was like he was the guy on the beat. He was the source on Buckeye. A lot what Jardy is now. Bob was that at the Dispatch before that. And the magic of, I remember talking about the magic of that run with Scooney and Mike in '99. It was the surprise of it all. I mean, it's not often that Ohio State can be a Cinderella story, but this was taking down #1 Auburn and making that run. So there's that type of thing as well, where you have that unexpected chase through March. That's when you were explaining, Reese, with Ohio in 12, where it's like, wait a second, Ohio's playing North Carolina in a Sweet 16 game. Like, what just happened? That's those type of magical moments are things that the unexpected. There was one thing about those Thad teams in 11 and 12 that there was such an 11 especially, where they were the #1 overall seed. They were really undone by the path that they had that year. There was Syracuse was in their region, Marquette. They ended up losing to Brandon Knight in Kentucky and Newark. But it was the one kryptonite that team had, that Diebler team his senior year. Jared was a freshman, Kraft was a freshman. That had Lighty and William Buford, all those guys. The one thing that they had, the kryptonite, was they didn't have length. And everybody in their region that year, Carolina, Kentucky, had incredible length. And it was kind of like the only kryptonite against that team was that length. And Kentucky had a lot of it. And Brandon Knight made a hell of a shot. I thought William Buford was going to hit the one at the buzzer to win it. Just missed it. But, yeah, those are the things that you're talking about that you're missing out on. Now, there's a lot of ways to fill that void. One of the ones we will try to fill it with around here is going to be the Columbus Blue Jackets making a run to get into Lord Stanley Cup playoffs. This is a stretch now that is, look, you're playing some of the best teams. You know, your losses are to the Golden Knights in Florida and Tampa. You're playing some of the best teams in the sport. But it's also a situation where the goodwill that you had in the bank, i.e. with points accumulated versus games played, is now starting to slip away. So if you take a look at the wild card standings right now, the Jackets 5 points out of the top spot at 75. That's Ottawa with that. They both have played 65 games. So now there's a cluster of teams that are in that 70-69 part. We're still in right now as it stands with 17 games to play, but also we've lost that game in hands that we had. You still got a game in hand on the Rangers. Obviously, you're going to see them very shortly. And then you have the Canadians kind of breathing down your neck as well, as they're sitting there at 69 points. I think you're hopeful that you could have taken care of business at home against a Vegas team. But the reality is that's a very, very good team. And once again, you got a tough start to the game. If you're looking for kind of one of the things that's been a little bit of a constant, this is one of those ones where you knew that this was happening, but sometimes it takes somebody like Porty to make you completely aware of it. So Porty tweeted this out about 20 minutes ago. Jackets power play from the start of the season till January 7th when Sean Monahan was injured in Pittsburgh, 23.9%, 10th in the league. Jackets power play without Monahan, 9.3%, 4 of 43, 31st in the league, fellas.
It's like this month, the end of this month can't come soon enough. Because that's when you return him. I know that Evison had done some tinkering with the power play, before these last 2 games, but this has just been, for me, you're not there yet. Blue Jackets have had a great season. This is a wonderful team. You've overcome injuries. You've overcome everything that we've discussed for the past couple of months. But the Vegas Golden Knights, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Florida Panthers, that's the standard in the NHL. Those are Stanley Cup contenders, legitimate Stanley Cup contenders. One of 3, maybe the Dallas Stars, will be hoisting Lord Stanley's Cup. It isn't the Blue Jackets' time just yet. You watched that game last night, and the Jackets had like the first 18 shot attempts, the first 8 shots on goal. And you're feeling, okay, something's got to give. But 10, 11 minutes in, Nick Waugh, I got to work on that because I got caught calling him Patrick Roy. He's in fact not Patrick Roy. But Nick Waugh gets the first goal for the Knights, and then Brandon Saad gets that second one with about a minute left to go in the period. And that helper from the aforementioned Nick Waugh was reminiscent of old Jackets defenses, just breaking down and looking around for help. And I'm like, it isn't it tonight either, guys.
No, it is not. It isn't that at all. I was curious if Nick Waugh was Patrick Waugh's son. Not.
There's no relation.
No relation, yeah. So that would have been something if he was. Patrick Waugh was.
We might have some Patrick Waugh news later in the show. Not necessarily news, but somebody relative to the Blue Jackets organization is creeping up on his all-time wins. Well, his place in the all-time wins record.
Oh, there you go. Look, it's an attention getter. We talked about the power play issues. Those are there. Dean Evanson also weighed in on this. When you play teams like teams like Tampa, you play teams like Florida, teams like Vegas, if you get in a hole, it's just brutal to try and dig out of it. Here's Dean on that.
Once a veteran team like that gets up on you, it's very difficult to get through and get in. We played them not too long ago in Vegas, and we're real good in that hockey game and did the same things we kind of did tonight early and just didn't get rewarded for it. So, I love the character of our team. We needed something, and we'll need something good to happen to us early to probably give us a bump next game and, get our swagger back and our feel. And I think our group knows that.
Yeah, and this is an attention getter, in the words of Buford T. Justice, for this hockey club, because we talked about this yesterday with Jody. Every game now is a playoff game, and you can feel it in the intensity. It is a race for points. It's a race to get in for teams like Vegas, Tampa, Florida. It's a race to be in top form by next month. I mean, that's the job. That's where they're all at. Zach Werenski noticed that as well, and the idea that every team they play is upping the ante a little bit.
I think teams are fighting for positioning, home ice advantage. Teams are fighting to get in the playoffs. So every night there's there's something teams are playing for. There's no games where teams are really out of it for us. I don't think there's any on the schedule, maybe 1 or 2, but even those teams are playing hard, right? They're trying to play spoiler, and it's going to be a battle to the finish. It's definitely ramped up here these last few games. I feel like we're aware of it. Obviously, it hasn't gone our way or gone as we would have hoped, but it's exciting. I think it's fun for our group to try and win these games and get into the playoffs. It's going to be a battle to the end, but I think we're ready for it.
I mean, you're talking now 4 out of 5 games without point accumulation. So that's how, that good stuff that we talked about in the bank starts to go away. Huge weekend. Rangers in here tomorrow, and then the Devils here on Monday. You can't get bigger than that. I'm on ESPN right now. You can get in the building right now for the Rangers game for $33. You can get in the game Monday against the Devils for $12. Like, this is one, and the 12th line, it's going to be, the 5th line's going to be there, but it's one of those things where a big weekend is pretty required right now. You can't go through this 4 out of 5 without points. It can't continue through the weekend. So you have Florida here after that, then eases up a little bit at Pittsburgh, at the Islanders, but these next 2 against New York and Jersey, if you make it, or if you don't, the success or lack of success that happens over the course of the next 2 games could be a big part of it.
And to Z's point, the games you mentioned that could be gimmies, those are never gimmies, especially when you're at Pittsburgh and you're at the Islanders. Their seasons haven't gone great, but those are still teams that are going to want to play to ruin your season as the ground, it starts to shrink on you. And so I'm very interested and kind of excited to see how Dean Evison is able to have his team respond to this.
Look at where we were going to Jersey midweek. You were 4 points out. That was a 4-point game, right? And if you had won it, which is a tall order, but if you had won it, you'd have been 2 points out of the 3rd spot in the Metro. You didn't. Jersey hasn't lost since. They're now winners of 3 in a row. The difference between you and them is now 8 points. So that's how quickly it can start to get away from you. And it's not just paying attention to that. You're 5 points out of the Senators. And there's also now the Bruins, 2 points out. The Red Wings, 2 points out. I'm talking of the last wild card spot, a spot you currently have. Montreal is a point out, and the Rangers are tied with you despite having played 1 more game. So right now you're in it, but your margin is all but gone.
And you've got, for this team, the PK stinks, the power play. You mentioned the stat without Monahan in the last 24 games. I think Porty had this. They're 4 of 43 on power play opportunities. I mean, you saw it last night. The penalty kill it wasn't working. The special teams need to be special for this team to make a special run. And whether that's just wait to get healthy, I don't think you have that luxury right now, especially since you're clinging to the second wild card spot. So your special teams, maybe that takes some tinkering. And maybe they do some tinkering today before tomorrow's game, because these are 3 games that you need points in 1 or 2 of them. Because I don't know if I see it right now.
Yeah, they got to get it done this weekend. Rangers tomorrow, Devils on Monday. In 2 minutes, will we have an answer from Aaron Rodgers to Pittsburgh today? Or we will continue to wait. Also a surreal scene up in Cleveland at the quarterback position. We'll get to that in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. GI Bill, SkillBridge, and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
Michelle Smallman here. Do you want to be at the draft in Green Bay, Wisconsin? Travel Wisconsin is sending 10 lucky fans and a guest to the draft. Experience the thrill of the draft firsthand and make memories that will last a lifetime. Don't wait. Enter Travel Wisconsin's Dream Draft Sweepstakes. Visit travelwisconsin.com/draft to learn how you can win a trip to experience the biggest moment of the offseason. Epic moments that become lifelong memories are waiting to be discovered across Wisconsin. Terms and conditions apply.
At Diamonds Direct, we believe luxury is an experience and not a price tag. Luxury is expert guidance. It's the selection of 10 jewelry stores under one roof. It's saving time on endless comparison shopping, and you'll only find this experience at Diamonds Direct. Our luxury showroom has it all backed by our lifetime warranties and our signature best price guarantee. Diamonds Direct is the perfect combination of luxury and value, so you don't ever have to compromise. Learn more at diamondsdirect.com. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
I'm an old school Joe, and my philosophy is simple and effective. At the end of the day, it's not what you win or lose, it's what you save. And bet and reduce juice at Prime Sports Ohio is the way to save money on every single bet. Download the Prime Sports Ohio app or visit our website, primesportsbook.com. Get a welcome bonus to match your initial deposit up to $400 in bonus bets. And be a member of the Prime Sports family.
Terms and conditions apply. Visit website for details. Must be 21 and present in Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
What's up?
What's up, man? What's up with you?
Sponsored by High Bank Distillery, home of the best blended whiskey in America. Grab a bottle or dine in at their 3 restaurant locations, Grandview, Gahanna, and now in Westerville. Drink local. Drink High Bank.
All right, here's what's up on a Friday. NFL free agency dominated much of the week, and it's still kind of hanging out there a little bit as you're waiting on Pittsburgh and you're waiting, it feels like, on Aaron Rodgers. We've talked a lot about this all week long. We actually are a benefit today in that we have a Pittsburgh Steeler fan with us on the program. Cole, Aaron Rodgers, you in?
Nope. I'm not hanging on to the name that he built himself up throughout the previous decade. We are now in the smack dab in the middle of this decade, and no, it's been 3 years. But look, I get it. It's in part because there are so few really good quarterbacks that teams get desperate and they act desperate, and their fans get really desperate. But I mean, look, it's been 3 years. He had the final year in Green Bay, which did not look like the previous 2 in which he won the MVPs. Yeah. Then he tore his Achilles, and then this year wasn't any good. Yeah, there was a bunch of craziness with the head coach, but it's been 3 years of disappointing football from him. I can't just hang on to his name forever.
It's what you just described, though, and I think Pittsburgh Reese, this kind of goes to what we were talking about earlier in the week about how the NFL has an ever-expanding middle class. And there is a feeling around that has changed a lot in a decade, honestly, that there are teams in the league who realize, who view being middle, just slightly above mediocre, being a team that can play relevant games in December is easier. You can peddle it. You can peddle the hope of it more so than going to the bottom. Over the last decade, there's been a bunch of teams that you could look at and go to the bottom, draft high, and get it sorted out. But going to the bottom is really, really painful. And honestly, Pittsburgh's kind of this is crazy because of their history, but really since Ben, they have been chasing this. And they've kind of stayed in the middle for, when did Ben retire? 17?
No, it was
19.
I almost want to say it was 21.
Was it that long?
He had 1 year where he got hurt in week 2, so there was like a 2019 season where it's.
Oh, you're right. He was there in 20. Yeah, he was there in 20 when the Browns beat him in the playoffs. Yeah, you're right.
Oh God,
career didn't end until 2022. Yeah, God, man. Some of that, I blame the vaccine. I don't know. I don't have a memory anymore of what happened during COVID. I forget what was there and what was not.
It is COVID week 234.
Well, it's been a while, certainly. So, all right. So through 2022 for Roethlisberger there. But from that point on, they've chased it. And what you have, and really at the end of Ben, you were in this area too, the middle, where you say, what? It's been longer since the Steelers have won a playoff game than it's been that the Browns have won a playoff game. Like that's
Yet
how
they've never been bad enough to draft
a
high quarterback.
No, they haven't, and they also aren't willing to. And it isn't coaching. I know you're not a huge fan of Tomlin, Cole, but it isn't coaching. It's not that. They don't have a quarterback. And if you don't have the quarterback, you don't have anything. They tried with Kenny Pickett, who in a surreal scene was introduced yesterday up in Cleveland. I mean, just think about how recent that was. Kenny Pickett went 15-10 as a Steelers starting quarterback, had some clutch moments, they signed Russell Wilson. He asked for a trade. By the way, they were both in Cleveland yesterday. So Pickett was introduced while Russell Wilson was visiting the Browns. So you had this crazy scenario where Kenny Pickett, while being introduced, is in Cleveland, while the guy that caused him to demand a trade from Pittsburgh is also in Cleveland.
It's life, man.
Yeah, and I want that so badly. Like these guys who Browns fans made fun of us for, now you have to convince yourself that somehow they're good. Please. The fodder of the AFC North fandom is going to be interesting.
I'd like to think of myself as somewhat flexible, but I don't even think I could do the gymnastics required.
I just think at this point, I think what Cleveland is. I think there's one panacea for them.
Flacco.
No, it's quarterback at the top. Everything else, like if you're outraged as at a Kenny Pickett, Russell Wilson, Joe Flacco, whatever it's going to be,
you need a hug.
Yeah, you're not winning. You're not winning with that no matter what. In terms of the ultimate prize, you might be able to put in. It's hard for me to imagine that Flacco at this age could. I mean, he had a magical month, but the idea that he could put together a magical season at this age seems hard for me to believe. I could see him coming in for a month and doing it again, but like over the course of 17 games and 18 weeks, it's hard to imagine it. So the reality is the only thing that really fixes it is if they land the quarterback at the top of the draft. That's it. There's nothing else out there that does it. Now, Pickett is at least a bite at the apple. It's not that dissimilar to what the New York Jets did with Justin Fields. It's not that dissimilar to what the Colts did with Danny Jones. These are Sam Darnold in Minnesota from a previous year. Baker Mayfield, when he first went to Tampa, this was a guy who was a first-round pick. It didn't work. And yet he's available, and so kick the tires on it. So that's what the Kenny Pickett thing is more than anything else. This is a guy who was viewed as who was a first-round pick of your rival 3 years ago, and now he gets a chance to compete. So it's a bite at the apple of hopefully you can unearth something. Go ahead,
So
Reese.
you're saying that with what happened to Sam Darnold last year is going to happen in Cleveland, but in this case, Justin Jefferson's going to be Jerry Jeudy?
That is not what I'm saying.
Super Bowl.
I'm saying that what New York did with Fields, what the Colts did with Jones, what the Bucs did initially with Baker was take a shot at hope. And take a shot that in the right circumstances, a guy who was drafted high could turn into something that for whatever reason the circumstance didn't allow for him to turn into when he was at his previous spot. But it was wild yesterday to have all of that. And Kenny Pickett was available. I thought this was pretty interesting, too. He said one of the reasons that he chose that he was excited about Cleveland is because the front office up there said, you're going to get a chance to compete for the job. Here is Pickett on the chance to compete for the starting job in Cleveland.
I do view myself as a starter. I'm sure they're going to bring in another veteran and who knows what else. But, I'm just excited to be here and compete with whoever. All the quarterback rooms I've been in, each room's been really tight. We all pull for each other, and that's really what it's all about. Getting better together and making the team better. So definitely prepared for whatever situation that may present itself.
Cole, how would you explain describe the Kenny Pickett experience with the Steelers?
I would describe it as the only reason he was drafted by the Steelers is because he went to Pitt, and then there was some sort of like, he only has to walk in the other door to get, or whatever.
You think they got caught up in that?
I really do.
Yeah, I think
do.
it can happen. I do think that can. I think what you just described can happen. I think NFL teams, you start, what a story this would be. And honestly, at that position, nobody knows anything anyway.
Yeah, and if they liked him, because a few years before that, we had James Conner, who was also a big hometown hero in Pittsburgh because he had cancer at Pitt, bounced back from it, was a good player, and then was a good player for us when I think Le'Veon Bell was kind of like, I think James Conner was the fill-in when he was holding out or something like that, somewhere with the timeline. Again, the COVID years, like give or take, it's all running together. But I do think that they tried to, the running joke on the internet is they tried to create a Disney movie, and it didn't exactly work. And that was the first of possibly multiple bad draft picks by our GM.
Who plays Mike Tomlin in that movie?
Omar Epps.
Okay, I see it.
I mean, that's it.
There's no one else.
That's perfect. By the way, Omar Epps had an incredible run playing athletes in movies that were awesome in the 90s. He was the star running back in The Program. He was the sprinter in Higher Learning. Like, he had a great run. Wasn't he also, he may have been in, was he Love and Basketball? He was in another one.
Yes, he was Love and Basketball.
Okay, so he had that too. So, that's about as good as it can get right there. I haven't seen him in anything in a long time.
He was in House. That's the only thing I know him from.
Oh, was that like a Fox series?
Yeah. I forget Dr. House is the actor who plays Dr. House.
Okay.
Hugh Laurie.
Hugh Laurie. Okay. Oh, that's right. Okay. I never saw that, but I'm certainly aware of that. So that's who plays Mike Tomlin in that, because they are doppelganger for each other. This is what I would tell you would be the dream scenario for Cleveland. Dream scenario I don't think it's Russell Wilson. To me, felt like almost like a blind date. We don't know you. You don't know us. Maybe something you want to come to the room. I don't think it was like we got to sign Russell Wilson. I don't think that's at all. And I also think they were really out. I think maybe a little bit surprised at like how much Danny Jones went for, like that price, because they can't play in those waters. They can't. It's got to be bargain basement for them. I think dream scenario, they like one of these quarterbacks more than the other, and they probably, and I think they should do this. I think they should do whatever it takes to go to one. I think you have to go to one to get the quarterback you want. Like, I wouldn't, if you like one more than the other, and you should, remember their connection to these two quarterbacks. Glenn Cook, assistant general manager up there, he's a University of Miami guy. He was involved with Miami collectives and stuff. He certainly would know everything there is to know about Cam Ward. And conversely, Kevin Stefanski was quarterback coach for Pat Shurmur in Minnesota. Pat Shurmur is the offensive coordinator at Colorado. Kevin Stefanski would know the real truth on Shedeur Sanders. So they should be able to, with the brain trust up there, figure out which one of these guys do we like more than the other, and then go to Tennessee at one and get your guy. And that's to me feels like the best path forward for them. Everything else it's a Band-Aid at best. But they're not alone. And this goes back to the point Cole was making earlier. There aren't enough good quarterbacks available. There is an absolute gap in the good quarterback play and everybody else. And so you're going to have a bunch of mediocre guys starting at quarterback in this league, mediocre veterans starting in this league. The musical chairs at the position has been fascinating to see. We'll get into that coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Head to 971thefan.com to listen on demand and subscribe to all our podcasts. Wasting time has never been easier. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Need inspiration? Shop Kroger for mouth-watering meals and appetizing ingredients. Our low prices add up to big savings, plus over $600 in digital coupons each week, and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump. At Kroger, you always get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
You can save big on 12 packs of Coca-Cola, Pepsi, or 7-Up. Right now, select varieties are buy 2, get 2 free with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Everyone deserves a fast and reliable connection, one that helps better their everyday through the things they value most: friends and family, education and career. A connection that opens pathways to opportunity and builds roads to a better future. At Spectrum, we're committed to delivering just that every single day. Because with the right connection, anything is possible. That's Life Unlimited. That's Spectrum.
That's the sound of a Mountain Dew. And that's you enjoying its refreshing citrus kick. That's a cool breeze suddenly whistling through your hair.
Whoa!
That's you realizing you're now on a mountain.
This is epic!
That's you stating the obvious. That's you stepping up to the plate. That's you winning your kickball game.
Yeah,
that's you taking another sip of your
Mountain Dew.
Do the Dew.
Hoops fans, are you ready to score big and get lucky this March?
What's up? It's T-Bone. I'm here to tell you that Bud Light will be holding mini hoops challenges at bars and restaurants across town over the next several weeks with one goal in mind:
to send one lucky local winner to Las Vegas, where they'll compete for $10,000.
Take your shot at March Madness glory. This week, join Bud Light and watch some hoops on Saturday afternoon as they take over Pastimes Grandview and Grandview Yard. They'll be there from 2 to 6 p.m. and have a mini hoops basketball challenge
that'll give you a shot at a Vegas trip and $10,000.
When you're ready to sell your car, another reason to choose Hinder Motor Company is the easy, fast, fair, and hassle-free way to sell. This is Justin Hinderer. We pay top dollar for your vehicle, whatever the make or model, and no purchase is necessary. Consider trading and get even more toward your next vehicle. Drive in today and leave with cash, or get a great deal. See why it's a pleasure doing business. Just visit HinderMotorCompany.com.
In-betweens are made for pizza. In between meals, meetings, thoughts, that's pizza time. Stop at Speedway and get 2 hot, delicious slices of pizza and a Mountain Dew 20-ounce for $5 with Speedy Rewards. The convenience stores of Speedway. Valid through 4/29/25. See app for full terms.
When it comes to your roofing, siding, or gutter needs, call Newman Roofing. 614-NEW-ROOF. NewmanRoofing.com.
Oh, hey, a fan show where you can be the star. Sundays at 11, it's the new Fan Call-In Show presented by ESPN Bet at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Your calls, your tweets, your voicemails, your opinions. You could be a homer, a hater, or whatever you want to be. Your family may not listen to you, but we will. The Fan Call-In Show presented by ESPN Bet at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Sundays at 11 on The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time and skip the regular line at the airport and pay for speedy security. Imagine not having to quickly unpack and pack at the place you already came packed to. And wearing your shoes the whole time you're there? You can't put a price on that kind of luxury. Well, actually you can, and you paid for it. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time for speedy security. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Get your yard game ready with Ego, the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power. Ego has nearly 200,000 5-star reviews from homeowners like you. Ego delivers the power of gas, but without the noise, fuss, or fumes. Best of all, Ego 56-volt arc lithium batteries are universal, so they fit all 90 tools. Power your yard. Power your tailgate. Power your life. Learn more at egopowerplus.com.
The Fan Poll is brought to you by Caster Connection. Visit casterconnection.com to shop online or to work with our Caster Solution specialists.
With friends like these, who needs former college football players? This is Bishop and Friends.
We were casting the Pittsburgh Steelers movie. Tyler with a couple of good casting calls. Kanye as Antonio Brown. Certainly. I think Kanye's probably unemployable at the moment. And then Shane Gillis as Big Ben. So he went for straight controversy.
That's a dead ringer with Shane Gillis.
That one's on it. Maybe.
Maybe you don't cast Antonio Brown in this.
Jeez.
Like he's just a character you write out, and then you have a thing at the beginning of the movie say some characters have been omited for legal reasons. Yeah. Like you don't need to explain away why you're not doing Antonio Brown. Maybe not Le'Veon Bell either. You just have another character.
Didn't he? Wasn't he on Hard Knocks? He was on Hard Knocks with the Raiders. Remember he froze his feet?
This is Antonio Brown. Yeah. He arrived in the training camp
chamber?
on a balloon, a hot air balloon.
Yeah. And then he ran out. Then they released him or they traded him and he sprinted out. That was all on tape.
That was with the Buccaneers or was it the Bucks?
No, he went to the Patriots first.
Okay. Patriots first.
For I think all of 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And the Buccaneers where he took his gear off.
Yep.
During a game.
In MetLife Stadium.
Who hit him? Where was it that we pinpointed that's the moment it all changed for that man?
Because you talked to folks who played with him in Pittsburgh. Early AB was the model. Was
the biggest weapon in the league.
Yeah. And he was the best receiver in football for a 3 or 4 year period at least.
I remember having a serious conversation about who you'd rather have, Antonio Brown or Megatron on your team.
Yeah, the stretch they had it. They were there was a run that he had. Is it 3 or? I'm pulling up the Pro Football Reference on him right now. See where he's at. Oh yeah, holy smokes. Yeah, so from 2013, from 2013 really until 2018.
It was Vontaze too.
Good. It was Vontaze? Yeah. 129 for 1698, 136 for 1834, 106 for 1284, 101 for 1533, 104 for 1297, and 15 touchdowns. That's the run. That's the stretch. That's 6 seasons.
Seatown Brown in the YouTube chat says Frank Caliendo to play Terry Bradshaw.
Gosh, nailed it. Cast them all. That one you actually could cast too, as opposed to some of the rest. So the reality is there just aren't enough quarterbacks out there to go around, and you're all kind of waiting on Aaron Rodgers to decide in Pittsburgh. Go back to that conversation about hope. I think that what you can do, and maybe Cole's not buying it. He's not buying the hope that the Steelers are selling with Aaron Rodgers. But what else do? They signed Mason Rudolph earlier in the week. Like, are you going to go T.J. Watt, Cam Hayward how many great seasons does he have left? Minkah Fitzpatrick, all of those veterans you just sign and you trade for DK Metcalf, give him a big contract. Are you really going to say we're running out Mason Rudolph with that? And conversely, kind of similarly to the Browns, they give Miles that huge contract. Are you really not going to draft a quarterback high? You know what I mean? So it's like the rest of the roster doesn't make sense because of what's going on at the quarterback position. If the Browns take a quarterback at the top of the draft, then it does. Then it's like, okay, let's Jaden Daniels this thing. Let's flip it quick. Let's get a pro in here, and away we go. You can sell that. You can sell that hope. I don't know what Pittsburgh sells.
Yeah, and I'm very much so against drafting quarterbacks beyond like 15, because if they're not going within the top 15 or something like that, then I really question just what their worth is. And I'm not very big on drafting quarterbacks in the second round or, late first round. It's either you're at the top of the draft or we'll take you in the fourth round, because if you're falling that far, you're probably not going to be a starter anyway. But we're in a weird spot at 21. And I hate to even mention this because we've been talking about Kenny Pickett, who I think we drafted at 22, which look how that worked out. But look, if mock drafts did not exist and our brains were not programmed a certain way based off of what we've seen these so-called experts put out there, this city would expect Will Howard to be drafted in the first round based on the way he played this year. If we took
Certainly the last month.
If we took him at 21, I would not be complaining the next day.
Well, there's a bunch of those guys that are out there. To Cole's point, too, and I think, people are quick to point out, well, like this guy turned into this or grab him in the third round. If you go through the league and you just look at the starting quarterbacks around the league, there are, by my count, only 3 who I would define as a franchise quarterback who is not a first-round pick. It's Dak Prescott, it's Jalen Hurts, and it's Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's just dumb luck. That's just dumb luck. Like last pick in the draft, and you land on that. In the same draft where you gave up everything to get Trey Lance, who, by the way, is a free agent, who, by the way, Dallas thought so little of that when Dak Prescott got hurt, they said, yeah, we don't even actually need to see you. We'll just run Cooper Rush. We're good. Like, we don't even need to see you play. It's that bad. But everybody else who I would define as a franchise quarterback in the league is a 1. They're all first-round picks. There's nobody out there. I mean, it's dumb luck landing on Dak Prescott. It's dumb. Everybody, like, you don't get a pat on the back for drafting Dak Prescott. You stumbled into it. You passed him over. If you thought he was going to be the starting quarterback, you'd have picked him in the first round. Like, you don't get any credit. Philly gets some credit for Jalen Hurts and that they found what they had in the second round and then built an offense around him, and then he developed. But that's it. Everybody else is a 1.
We do the real truth on Tuesdays. Let's play this right now with this DK Metcalf quote to ESPN's Brooke Pryor. He was asked about Pittsburgh's quarterback situation because they gave up a lot to get DK from Seattle. Quote, they made me feel like they had the right decision with who was going to be throwing me the football. I'm not making the decision in the quarterback room. I'm just going to try to do the best of my abilities to help whoever they have out there throwing the football. So they make the correct decisions to bring the quarterback in here. I'm just going to roll with that, end quote. Is that the real truth?
That makes me think that they believe they're going to sign Rodgers. Because I don't think you can make him feel that way with Russ if Russ comes back. And that feels like where they're at. It feels like if Rodgers says no, they pivot back to Russ, and it's Russ and Mason Rudolph, and you get to repeat that. Now, Russ is visiting the Giants today, but there's nobody else out there, guys. Then it's like it's Flacco, it's Gardner Minshew, it's Carson Wentz, it's Trey Lance. I mean, that's what's left. So if they don't land Rodgers, I don't know how can you imagine walking in to like TJ Watt and Cam Hayward and be like, hey, Cam, we know you're kind of getting to the end of the line. You're still playing at an elite level. Look him in the eye and say, yeah, we're gonna give it a go with some comment with Carson Wentz and Mason Rudolph. Like, they are as all in as can be on Rodgers. They have to land him. That goes back to the hope thing. That's the only hope you could peddle, is there's some sort of rejuvenation. Cole's right. It's been a long time. since he was elite. He had some decent games at the end of last season in kind of a crooked season for the Jets. That's hope. The rest of it is a tough sell. And I don't know if Russ could even stomach. Who knows if he could go back there, even if they would want him. I don't know. So that's the situation in the league. There aren't enough elite quarterbacks to go around. That is not the situation here at Ohio State, which starts spring football on Monday with a glut of talent at the quarterback position and a precocious second-year player who most assume will ascend. It's one of the big questions as the Buckeyes kick off spring ball on Monday. We will get to that coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
If the sound of another man slammed against plexiglass turns you on, you've come to the right place. Proud to be your home for Jackets hockey. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Skyline is celebrating St. Patty's Day for 2 days this year. Come enjoy your favorite 3, 4, or 5-way with green noodles, March 16th and 17th only. The only place to get your green ways is at participating Skyline locations.
For a limited time at Verizon, you can get our best price ever for a single line. Just $45 per month when you bring your phone, which is less than you spend on Too Tired to Cook takeout every week. Get one line on Unlimited Welcome for $45 per month with AutoPay plus taxes and fees. Visit your local Columbus Verizon store by April 2nd to save. $20 monthly promo credits applied over 36 months with a new line on Unlimited Welcome. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G and 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Additional terms apply.
It's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. TNCs apply.
Getting cold feet? Call Care Heating and Cooling and we'll fix your furnace fast. Call 1-800-COOLING.
Hey there, friends. Bo Bishop here. Who's cutting down the nets this year? Get in on all the tournament action at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Go from tracking the latest upsets to placing bets in just a few taps. All tournament long, new customers can get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first $10 wager. Download the ESPN Bet Sportsbook app. Sign up with the promo code Radio100 to get started today. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Are you turning 65? Are you looking for Medicare Advantage coverage? Great news! The Ohio State Health Systems and Mount Carmel Health Systems are in our provider network. Aetna has Medicare Advantage plans that include prescription drug coverage with a $0 monthly plan premium. Plus, the plans include benefits like dental, vision, and hearing. Call Aetna today at 1-888-76-AETNA to learn more. One of our licensed agents will answer your call. Call today, 1-888-76-AETNA. Aetna Medicare is an HMO PPO plan with a Medicare contract. Our D-SNPs also have contracts with state Medicaid programs. Enrollment in our plans depends on contract renewal. Plan features and availability may vary by service area. Participating healthcare providers are independent contractors and are neither agents nor employees of Aetna. The availability of any particular provider cannot be guaranteed, and provider network composition is subject to change. Other physicians, providers are available in our network.
Hey folks, Austin Ward here, thinking I did something spectacular dropping 50 pounds, but then Steve pops in and dropped a whopping 150 pounds with Awaken 180 weight loss.
I got started because I was sick and tired of just being sick and tired all the time. Wanted more from life, and I knew that at my size, I wasn't being who I could be, who I want to be for not only myself, but for my wife. And I just like, something has got to change and it's got to start soon. I mean, the program is so easy. Everything is really written down for you on your first day. Having someone there to help you and also keep you accountable, just having that someone to talk to, and even the fact that Awaken 180 offers free maintenance for life is amazing because our lives change on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And sometimes you need help figuring it out because keeping the weight off is a lifetime commitment.
A lifetime commitment is what you'll receive with Awaken 180. More than 50 pounds to lose like I did, or over 100 pounds like Steve, Awaken 180 can get you there and keep you there. Free support for life online at awaken180weightloss.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling.
I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6759. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6759. That's 800-575-6759. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. The Blue Jackets enter the weekend clinging to a playoff spot. CBJ lost to the Golden Knights 4-0 last night at Nationwide. Vegas goalie Aiden Hill had 27 saves in the win. Las Vegas rewarded him with a 6-year extension this morning. Back to the Blue Jackets, who have lost 4 of their last 5 and find themselves tied with the Rangers at 70 points for that second wildcard spot in the East. Columbus holds the tiebreaker. New York's in town tomorrow night at 7, looking to swing that back. It's game 2 of a 4-game homestand. CBJ will host the Devils on Monday. In the NBA tonight, the Cavaliers look to extend their win streak to 16 games. Cleveland's at Memphis Friday at 8. And in college hoops, Selection Sunday is 2 days away. The Mid-American Conference semis are tonight in Cleveland. Toledo takes on Akron at 5 o'clock. Miami plays Kent State around 7:30. Atlantic 10 quarterfinals are Friday in D.C. Dayton takes on St. Joe's tonight at 7:30. Breaking sports news when it happens on The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
10 feet tall and bulletproof isn't just a saying, it's a way of life. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Well, we're finally there. St. Patty's Day, 8:30 a.m. Away we go. Spring football. The way that this is, the next time we do a show, Monday, they will be started, and you're going to know who's getting what reps and who's sitting where in what early rotation. And the work will be on towards preparing for the 2025 campaign and defending that national championship. We're going to be your home for spring football. That's just plain and simple. Almost every one of these practices, not only here at the Fan, but specifically this show, happens during our show. It starts on Monday, that 8:30 a.m. practice. The Buckeyes going to practice on Wednesday and Friday of next week as well. They will get back to work the following Monday, then another one on Tuesday, all in this morning window. And then their first Saturday practice will be on March 29th. That is expected to be a scrimmage. You're going to have that Monday, Tuesday, Thursday schedule the following week. Ohio State Student Appreciation Day is set for Saturday, April 5th. Buckeye students can observe all of that Ohio State practice. So that's one to kind of circle, because if they're in there, then the media can be in there on that one as well. And Ohio State's going to conclude spring practice with the that final week, April 8th and 11th, and then the spring showcase on April 12th. This is a new format. For the longest time, they have taken a week of practice, a week off, and then go. But when you consider how long they played into the season, Ryan Day felt like it would be better to give them an extra week of rest, and then away they go. So this will be kind of a sprint through spring, and we'll be here every step of the way. It's a fascinating spring. It's made more so by the fact that you don't get a chance to wade into the season. You Ron Burgundy cannonball into the season. You're opening with Texas here. So whatever you are as a football team, the positives, the negatives will be exposed or shown off right away on a team that quite honestly, if you're number 1 to start the year, they're number 2. Hard to imagine any scenario other than Ohio State and Texas being 1 and 2 next year when the preseason polls come out. When you do the questions offensively for Ryan Day, it starts at quarterback, it ends at quarterback. There's some other really intriguing battles to watch, but quarterback is it. There have been whispers around Julian Sayin since the second he stepped on campus that there was something different about the kid, that there was something special about the kid. But the same would be true about Lincoln Kienholz. I was hosting an event for boosters a couple of years ago, and one of the things that Ryan talked about really with nothing but huge smile was Lincoln Kienholz. Like, they like Lincoln a lot. And the reality is that he's in the mix, too. And then beyond that, you have Tavian St. Clair. And we know from what Ryan said last week during the 11 o'clock hour of our show that they could potentially go for a quarterback in the portal as well. That would seem to me to be the veteran side of it. But when you start with questions offensively that need to be answered, it is the quarterback position. Dom caught up with Ryan on the Buckeye Cruise, and one of the things he discussed was that quarterback competition. Let's have a listen.
Yeah, it'll be a very fierce competition. Lincoln and Julian and then Tavian. We're excited to see those guys compete, and we'll chart everything, and everything will be a competition. I feel like we're going to need everybody, but I feel like there'll be a lot of growth coming out of the spring and an opportunity for these guys to take it and run. It's one thing when you're a backup; it's another thing when you're actually running it. And I've shared with those guys, especially with Lincoln and Julian, who were there last year, you got a chance to see a guy lead at a high level. So now. And this was the conversation leading up to the national championship game. When the national championship's over, that's it. Will's done. His time's done here. Now you have to take it over, and so you have to walk different. You got to move different. You have to practice different. Everything like that. So this is an opportunity now for these guys to take it and run. And then Tavian, is just coming. But Tavian spent 2 weeks here too, and that was great for our freshmen to see how these guys operate in the last 2 weeks of the season.
So it's wide open right now.
Oh yeah, wide open.
I know he's got to say that. I just
don't
think
the real truth?
No, it can't be. It can't be. No, it can't be. I understand he's got to say it. I know why he's got to say it. If it is the real truth, then, fellas, we got problems. Because that means you don't have a lean one way or the other, and I just don't believe that. I don't think that's the real truth. I think they do have a pecking order, clearly, and that doesn't mean that it's Julian Sayen's job. And I don't think they definitely don't want to hand it to him because you can't fool the room. We've talked about this with these quarterback competitions for the longest time. It has to be abundantly clear this is the guy. And if you listen to the Buckeyes at the Combine, it certainly felt like they were leaning towards Julian Sayen was the guy. But he is in his second year. That's it. This is his second spring, and he's going to have to earn it. Lincoln's got 3 spring. This will be Lincoln's second spring as well because he was not an early enrollee. So this will only be Lincoln's second spring as well, despite this being his third season in the program. Tavian should be going to his high school prom. So he's the idea that you could make up that much ground that quick, it's hard for me to believe. But obviously they will have a competition. I just think, fellas, it can't be like this quarterback competition cannot be like the ones of the past because of who you open with. And because of what Ryan Day just said about Will Howard's leadership. Will Howard, you got a pro to come in here and be Will Howard was a pro. That's what he was. And he came to quarterback finishing school. This is different. This is more like C.J. Stroud. The difference is you're not opening against Minnesota. You're opening with Texas. So we talk about 10 feet tall and bulletproof. Whichever one they pick, and the lean is saying he's got to be for that opener.
Yeah, I think the lean, when Nick Saban retires, they went out of their way to get a quarterback that they probably didn't need, but they wanted because they saw what could be. And then when we were at,
they had Aaron Nolan,
when we were at practice, we saw what he could be. And any time they could speak on a quarterback last year after Will Howard, it was Julian Sayen. Mm-hmm. And it was good of Ryan in that cut you just heard with Dom to put Lincoln first, but this is, as Urban would like to say, life in the big city, where you will have it's like a champagne problem for the Buckeyes to have with the talent in that quarterback room. But this can't be it's a fine line to walk because you can't mess around with this quarterback competition. But the guy who has to win it has to take it, has to make it known to everybody that I'm the alpha in this. And it does feel like there's, 3 really young guys who have they ever really had to be the alpha just because their talent's been so much there. So we'll find out. And it is one of those things to where they're going every day against, and I know they said that the quarterbacks will roll the reps, right? They'll go with the 1s, the 2s, and the 3s, all 3 that we just mentioned. And even the Tristan Gebbia type that they do pull out of the portal once that thing opens, they're going against a defense that's, while replacing 8 starters, a lot of guys that are hardened and a lot of guys that will test you and force you to either sink or swim in the deep water that's going to be these Ohio State practices that feel kind of expedited because of the schedule, because of the college football calendar. Like, this is a tough ask.
Yeah, it very much is. So that's number 1, guys. My other 2 things that have to be answered in spring is James Peoples ready to be a dude? at running back? Is he ready? It's enormous shoes. They get the transfer from West Virginia as well. I think most people think Peoples will be – he's got to be a big-time weapon back there. If not, then you're going to have to portal in the spring to add to that room. And they may do that anyway. They might try to see what's available in the portal anyway in the spring and pull another one in here. And then the other one is on the offensive line, is what does that look like? They brought some guys in the portal. Do they need to add more? It was the first thing Ryan Day said in his availability is when you talk about portal in the spring, it was offensive line. So where are you there? It's those three things. If you'd be an idiot if you had a question about the receiver position. Like there's nothing.
Well, Brandon Innes changed his number.
Yeah, what number is Brandon Innes wearing? That's the question.
Yeah,
everything else is.
Aren't you always fascinating how those conversations go? Like you promise a kid a number in recruiting. Clearly, they all do.
Do you think they promised him one knowing?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's a situation like when you have Jeremiah Smith, he's wearing 4. And you just move people out?
Yes.
To make sure that he wears 4?
In those rare instances, you're telling whoever it is, sorry, bud.
Yeah. I mean, and then I think for the rest of them, like you get a number and then you can decide to move off of it or not. You know, I think that's probably how it goes. But like any single digit is going to be something that's promised to a monster recruit or a portal guy. I mean, that's the way it's like. There was no doubt that Caleb was going to get 2. Caleb wasn't going to be in, 42.
Thankfully, the NCAA rules allow that to be the case where you could have 2 2s.
Multiple 2s, yeah.
With what Ohio State did in their college football playoff run to the national championship, I'm excited to see with Max Clare, the addition to the tight end room, along with Will Kasmerick, if he can remain healthy, and they've still got Jelani Thurman, if that can be more for this Ohio State offense where you don't think you're going to get it from the running backs the way you did last year. Like, how does that balance shift out a little bit now that your tight ends become more of a passing weapon, now that you've shown in those 4 games in the college football playoff that you really love to use those guys, because sometimes teams just forget they exist.
Well, yeah, that definitely happened. So this is probably as healthy as they've ever been there. So if you get a weapon going down the seam, Jeremiah on the outside, Carnell on the outside, Innes, like now all of a sudden, so if Peoples comes along, now good luck defending all of that. So that is one of those ones. I have no question that they have all the talent in the world at that position. It's just a matter of how do they utilize it going forward. All right, coming up next. On the defensive side, Matt Patricia takes over. He gets the keys to the kingdom. What will this defense look like, and what questions do we have on that side of the ball? We'll get to that coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
A lot has changed in 30 years, but we're still that old shoe that feels worn in and well-loved. And well, we smell a little, but you've accepted that. The Fan.
Welcome to Nada Yada Island. Next on Metro's Nada Yada Island podcast.
I almost fainted when the 4 new bombshells arrived. 4 free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G phones at Metro.
No way.
And finding out the 4th line is free. Oh, things got heated.
That's wild. Join Metro and get 4 free Samsung 5G phones. Only at Metro.
Plus tax. Bring 4 numbers and an ID and sign up for any Metro Flex plan. Not available currently at T-Mobile or been with Metro in the past 180 days.
The best matchup is you in a new Kia from Coughlin Kia. Get into a new Kia now with $0 down. Get 0% financing on select new Kias and make 0 payments for 3 months on any new Kia in stock. Visit CoughlinKia.com.
0% for 72 equals $13.89 per 1,000 financed on Nero EV, EV6, and EV9 with approved credit through Kia Motor Finance. 90 days deferred payments until June 2025. Qualified manufacturer incentives to dealer. Prior sales excluded. No security deposit. Residency restrictions may apply. Offers cannot be combined. See dealer for details. Ends 3/31/25.
1-800-GOT-JUNK makes space for possibilities.
When our clean, shiny truck arrives, it's the sign of a new beginning, a clean start, a breath of fresh air.
All the animals start giggling, a rainbow appears, and music fills the air.
Your best friend calls with happy news. Every table has fresh flowers on it, and your nights are full of candlelight.
We bring the springtime.
All you have to do is point.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK
or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
If you're like most Americans, you've racked up tens of thousands in credit card debt. You're stuck with 20% interest fees, and even the monthly payments, well, they're hard to make. It's insane. Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. The good news is that there is a way out. AFLcash.com. That's AFLcash.com. Advantage First Lending. They specialize in fast, easy access to the equity in your home. Most homeowners have hundreds of thousands of dollars in their home equity. That's your money. AFLcash.com can get it out for you with zero junk fees and zero hassle. You can pay off all those credit cards in just a matter of days. Pay off your car loans too. Cut your monthly expenses by $800 or even $900. I'm telling you, the relief you need, well, it's right there at your fingertips. AFLcash.com or call 844-394-CASH. That's 844-394-CASH. Break out of the credit card debt prison with AFLcash.com.
Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1209177. Subject to lender approval. NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Hey, Ohio, Prime Sports has arrived. The only book where you can lay 108 instead of 110 on all your favorite teams. Football, baseball, basketball, and hockey. Why would you risk more to win the same amount at another sports book? Download the Prime Sports Ohio app or visit our website, primesportsbook.com. Get a welcome bonus to match your initial deposit up to $400 in bonus bets. And be a member of the Prime Sports family.
Terms and conditions apply. Visit website for details. Must be 21 and present in Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Here's a quick listening guide. When something's on the fan, it's on the station you're listening to right now. If I say something's on ESPN Columbus, it's on 1460 AM and the Fan's HD2. When in doubt, stream it on the Fan app. Thank you and good night.
Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter, and spring's going to be here before you know it. I know it feels cold now, but before too long, you're going to be outside running around, jogging, wanting to do golf, explore time with your family. Get outside and do the things you love. Just be active. And listen, a lot of my friends, they're asking me about QC Kinetics joint treatments. They want to know if they should consider it for their joint pain. And if you're wondering, maybe you could be a good candidate, let's see if the answer is yes to any of these questions. Quality of life impacted by chronic pain, knees, hips, back, shoulders, other things. Trouble sleeping, walking, day-to-day movement? Check. Next, avoiding surgery, the pain, the downtime? Check. Most importantly, do you miss doing the things I talked about when the spring and summer are here? Check. Don't wait. If you answered yes to one or any of those, you'd be a great candidate. You can go in there, go to QC Kinetics, ask for their free consultation, find out what it's all about, learn about the latest advances in regenerative medicine. They've got locations in Dublin and Gehenna, or you can go to QCkinetics.com/Columbus, or better yet, call 380-208-4544.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Sunshine out there today. Man, is it nice to get outside. High 78. Heading into tomorrow, we're tracking showers and thunderstorms. A couple storms could contain damaging winds up to 45 miles per hour. Not to mention, we do have a flood risk tomorrow. Could be looking at as many as 2 inches of rain. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 weather impact forecast on 97.1 The Fan.
Common Man has spent the past 18 years telling you how much he hates people. And yes, that probably means you too. Common Man and T-Bone.
Weekdays at 3.
The Fan. Keep your friends close and your producers closer. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Indeed you are, and as always, we are sponsored and brought to you by friends at Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 78 years. Defensively, as Reese said, 8 new starters, new coordinator, it's brand new. And Ryan Day, the influence on hiring Matt Patricia came from a place that, honestly, it should. The standard for coaching in college football over the last 15 years is Nick Saban and what he did at Alabama, and Ryan Day used that as part of the influence in putting this defensive staff together.
I think that we need to continually look at how we have to evolve with our defense. And Matt brings a different approach to the game in terms of he's run different styles of fronts in the past. You know, he's been multiple in what he's done. And I think when you look at his defenses, they've always utilized their players. And I think we've talked about that a lot, especially on offense. You know, how do we put our players in the best position to be successful? I also, studied how Nick Saban went on his run and he brought in different offensive coordinators. You think about that run. It was Lane Kiffin. It was Sarkisian. It was Daboll, Mike Loxley. It was Bill O'Brien, a lot of different coaches, but they kept a lot of the defense intact, and we want to make sure that our identity of what we do on defense stays intact.
Matt Patricia will be the man charged with making sure that it does. He was available last week for the first time. One of the things he talked about is fast and aggressive.
My whole goal is to try to figure out, what do you do well? How do I put you in the best position to go get on the field and do that job well, to the best of your ability? Because if you can play fast, you can play aggressive, because I have you in your skill set, then you're going to be disruptive as a defensive player. You're going to help us win as a defense, win as a team, and we can fit the pieces around where everybody goes, in that accord. So, and then grow from there. So that's kind of like, I've coached all of it, right? It doesn't really matter. I've coached 3-4, 4-3, nickel, big nickel, dimes, all those packages, 4 down fronts, 5 down fronts, odd spacing. To me, it's all like, hey, that guy can do this or that guy can do this. And then I also think it creates roles. So it's not always like the same 11 on the field. So if you can have a really good skill set and you can do something, and if it's in a critical situation, then we got to get you in that spot and help you be in that situation to win the game.
There is when you pull up, just do yourself a favor and pull up like the R-Lads depth chart for Ohio State defensively. And what you see is here's a lot of guys that names we know in recruiting. Here are a lot of guys who need to start to eat. So when you do 3 questions on the Ohio State defense, it starts up front. I mean, it has been Jack and JT for the longest time. And they've had those edges. And so now it's others' turn, but they're not kids. Caden Curry's a senior. Kenyatta Jackson's 4th year in the program. I mean, these are guys who have been here a while. And it's time to ascend and reach that level. This is a big year for Larry Johnson's room. And that D front, not just the rushman, the middle of it too. That it all's going to start there. These are guys they have signed. These are guys, they only had Logan George, the only transfer who comes in. Everybody else is guys who've been here and guys who have been in the mix. And they have the standard that was here when you think about JT, Ty Leak, Ty Hamilton, Jack Sawyer. I mean, the whole situation it's your time now, boys.
I think all 4 of those guys on Ohio State's defensive front, at least all 4 of the starters, are going to be drafted before Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Probably. Like that's for your
first 3 rounds. Yeah.
First year as your defensive coordinator, you got to walk in, and that's probably job 2. I think he even talked to Matt Patricia did about finding Caleb Downs. Like that's job 1. And then, you figure out which pieces. And I think that's a big reason why CJ Hicks makes the move or will look to make the move defensive end. And that's nothing to Caden Curry or, Kenyatta Jackson, but that's just more depth. And that's so they can roll.
They made that move because they need it. And honestly, that's a ball of clay that needs to be molded here. It can't be a Baron Browning situation where it took the league to mold it. Like, mold him here, put him there now, put him on the edge. Everybody knows his talent is what the talent is. Let him eat a little bit. And the other reason that you can do that is because of, 3's room is outrageous. I didn't think Sonny would be back.
Yeah, can you play 5 linebackers?
I did not think Sonny would be back, but Sonny's back. Arvell Reese took a leap last year. And he's a dude, and he's back. So you have Sonny, you have Arvell. I know Threes loves Peyton Pierce, the kid out of Texas. He likes him a lot. I know a guy he loves absolutely is Riley Pettijohn, the true freshman out of Texas, the 5-star linebacker. He could get in the mix too. But that linebacker room is pretty loaded. And the impact he had on that room last year was noticeable. And now year 2, Sonny, year 2, Arvell. Sonny's got a chance to be like all-American linebacker guy. Like that's what's in play for him. So the CJ Hicks move to defensive end, that I think gets a weapon in a place now. Offensively, we always talk about weapons. CJ Hicks is a defensive weapon that's been shelved too long, and so let's see what that weapon looks like in real fire. So that's what that's about, and you could do that because of the rest of the talent in the linebacker room.
Yeah, it's always fun to see kind of near the middle to end of the season where it felt like Ohio State defensively had to get Arvell Reese on the field. And then you wonder, as you think about it going into next year or into next season, into the spring, like how is that going to manifest? Like the guy that they couldn't wait to get on the field, now that he is a guy that you almost can't take off the field when the silver bullets are out there, like how does that work itself in? And you talk about a lot of the younger guys and their need to pick things up quickly because, like we talked about the offense, you're expediting the spring because of Texas. Like, so for that linebacker room that has a ton of talent you just mentioned, your first task, Arch Manning. Like Riley Pettijohn, I don't know, obviously 2 different states they played high school football in, but like, that name. So it sets up to be a I mean, there's so many stories that they're going to go into Ohio State and Texas, but to watch how this Ohio State defense gets challenged early on by a Texas offense that, while going to be some new names, there's going to be the talent there. And how does Patricia bring in his defense while also keeping some of the same things that worked really well with Jim Knowles' defense at the end, and especially during that college football playoff run?
Yeah, and secondary-wise, you got questions as well. Obviously, Denzel Burke, Lathan Ransom, they're out. Hancock's out as well. I don't know that anybody thought that Igbinosun would be back. I think a lot of people thought he would be a guy who went to the National Football League. So you do get that back, and then you have the best player on your defense to anchor it in Caleb Downs. So he's back there. Jalen McClain's a name that you're going to hear a lot of. Malik Hartford is a name that you're going to hear a lot of in the safety room. You're going to hear a lot of, obviously, Jermaine Matthews at corner. And so that's kind of where that is. A name to pay attention to in the corner room is Devin Sanchez. He's the freshman out of the Houston area. If you get a chance, like the various sites who cover the team, when you see those videos of like the early spring, he's an attention getter physically. So that's somebody that you're going to see him and go, whoa. And he was a 5-star corner out of, I want to say, the Houston area. So those are the things that kind of got to get figured out. And that's why there's such anticipation for this spring, because while there are the known quantities, and just defensively, you think about Caleb and Sonny, Arvell and IGB, all of those guys, offensively, the known quantities. 4, obviously. 17, obviously. There's a bunch of questions. There's a bunch of guys who have been here a long time who need to ascend. And that's going to be what the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks is going to be about, is who is ready, as Tim May would say, to take the bit and run with it. That'll be the job. I just noticed this, Cole. That has got to be the only Cotton Bowl Ohio State Missouri shirt I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't think that was one that Ohio State fans are flocking to your local sporting goods store to take a shirt.
How do you end up at that?
So I was in St. Louis at the time. I think I just got it for Christmas just because it was the school that I went to and the school that I followed out there. And so just a bowl T-shirt.
Yeah, I just have never seen an Ohio State Cotton Bowl T-shirt.
I like it too.
It's cool. It's unique. I like it. Somehow I like the old school look of it. Yeah.
Somehow the colors work.
Yeah. That's our that's Devin Brown gets hurt. That's Lincoln ill prepared. I mean, that game is like totally. Yeah. That is just totally a game that you almost erase from memory as a Buckeye. You just have almost no recollection of how that game went.
Yeah, that was when. Well, I actually remember it very well for the Lincoln Keenholz's perspective of the offensive line. Once they got, first of all, they already were on their backup quarterback with Devin Brown. He quickly gets hurt, and then you have a quarterback that has no experience whatsoever, and the defense just pins their ears back and blitzes every play because he doesn't know how to handle it. And, I mean, he was just a deer in the headlights in that game.
I went to the Blue Jackets Maple Leafs game instead of paying attention to that. Right. I got a little interested, so I pulled it up on my phone, and it took me maybe 5 minutes before I stopped watching the Cotton Bowl.
It was ugly.
Such a weird game, wasn't it? So weird. Spring football starts on Monday. Tim May will join us for Perspective in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Men, this is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health. The one you love is the light of your life. And if you're like most of us, you want to do whatever you can to nurture your relationship. But if you're suffering with erectile dysfunction, you know the impacts the condition is likely having on you and your partner. ED is a relationship destroyer. It can contribute to depression, distancing, conflicts, and even breakups and divorce. And what's so disturbing about this is that most men who suffer with ED can be successfully treated, but a lot of guys don't seek treatment when they should. At Tri-State Men's Health, we have protocols that are effective in well over 90% of cases. In fact, if you're like most guys, you could be having great sex within a day or two of your first appointment, and maybe find you're performing like you haven't in a long time. So call Tri-State Men's Health today. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com. We have 6 offices across the tri-state area to serve you.
Basketball from noon to midnight. Scotty Vegas here, and we're throwing a Vegas-style basketball party at Hollywood Casino at the ESPN Bet Sportsbook. I even went out to Vegas to scout out how to throw this party. Tough assignment. The Fan is doing 24 hours of watch parties. The opening weekend of the tournament, there'll be custom T-shirts, Pop-A-Shot, horse games. Oh, and don't miss a game with a 50-foot video wall. Reserve your spot at HollywoodColumbus.com. Must be 21 or older to enter. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Need inspiration? Shop Kroger for mouth-watering meals and appetizing ingredients. Our low prices add up to big savings, plus over $600 in digital coupons each week, and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump. At Kroger, you always get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
We've lowered prices. You can save 15% or more on hundreds of items like Thomas Mini Bagels, Campbell's SpaghettiOs, and more. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Right Way Heating and Cooling and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep you and your home comfortable. The Fan.
Taking the art of sports radio and day drinking to a whole new level. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Indeed you are. It is 10:30 on a Friday. At this time, we like to talk to our good buddy Tim May, the Tim May Show. And he joins us on the Bryant Heating Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline. Spring Football Monday. The number one thing you're curious about is what? Just pick one.
Who's going to take the first snap at quarterback, even though Billy Fessler says that doesn't really matter. I even asked him that last week. And but, you know, it does matter because we were all talking about how Devin Brown took the first snaps last year, you know, and then but we all also knew they rotate through the guys whenever you've got a competition. You know, perceived, conceived, or otherwise, you know, it really makes no sense the first many days to put much into who's doing what with whom, because they're just trying to get guys reps and get guys on video and see how they're doing things. But yeah, your eye always goes to on any football team goes to a quarterback because you know the quarterback is the great eraser. You know, just like your putter is the great eraser in your golf bag, your quarterback's your great eraser on your football team. A guy that can make something out of nothing, but boy, when he's really good, also throwing the ball and running with it and running when you don't expect him to, it can make everything else look a hell of a lot better. So. You always start on any modern college football team with the quarterback and go from there, right, Bo?
You do. Are you golfing today?
No, I am not. I'm actually in my basement. I'm not basement. My lower level.
Lower level.
Where all the junk is stacked.
I thought for sure you'd be golfing today. It felt like the perfect Tim May golf day.
I may be later in the afternoon, but I've got to fix my zero turn. I got a couple of maintenance items on my zero turn, huh?
You got a little honey-do list.
Yeah, no, I got the howdy do. I got the howdy doody list. I got to do for myself. I don't want to push more 2.5 acres. You know what I'm saying?
let me ask you this.
I did do that once, by the way.
Did you?
Go ahead now.
That's a full day. Let me ask you this.
That is.
What can you tell me about how we ended up with Julian Sayin and in terms of anecdotes you've heard from others, because the whispers you hear about him and then just watching him throw it, it's obvious, are that he's quite special. What can you tell us about how your recollection of how he ended up here to begin with? We know obviously Saban left and then that opened up the floodgates, but this was a full quarterback room at the time he was brought in, and there's some risk to bringing in somebody like that. He had to be worth the risk.
Yeah, same for him. There's a risk, you know. Well, Ohio State was in on him to begin with. You know, I had his coach on my his high school coach, whose name I can't recall at this very moment. He has a restaurant there in Carlsbad, California. It's really funny, you know, their football stadium. I asked him, I said, man, can you see the Pacific from your football stadium? He goes, yes. I mean, that's, you know,
come on.
You know what we're talking about. It's elevated. It's up on, you know, down there north of San Diego. And but anyway, Ohio State was in on him to begin with, but he finally, in the final analysis, picked Alabama, you know, to go play for the great Nick Saban, and then be kind of like one of those magician tricks where you pull the tablecloth out from under all the dishes. That's what Nick Saban did, you know, just to have Caleb Downs, and it was. I would think in this age, anytime something like that, major like that happens, you know what I'm talking about,
Mm-hmm.
where somebody you wanted to play for because of the reputation, because of the production, everything else you can say about what Nick Saban did at Alabama. Whenever something like that changes, it should make you second guess. Hey, what am I doing here? This idea that a guy from San Diego goes to Alabama because he loves, Tuscaloosa, or wants to play where Bear Bryant coached. I mean, those kind of thoughts are long gone, and so he opened it back up real quick. But I mean, there was no doubt where he was going from the get-go, I think we'll see how good he really is, right, over the next several weeks, and then as the season starts. But man, you got, like we talked about last week on this show, you got to get somebody ready for August 30th? Is that the right date?
Yeah.
But Texas is no joke with Arch Manning Jr., et cetera. So, that's how he ended up in a nutshell. I mean, he already had Ohio State on the radar. Alabama suddenly dropped off the radar, and boom, you go to the next target-rich environment.
Yeah, it is a target-rich environment. Absolutely.
Dude, I'm serious. I mean, if you were a quarterback right now and can throw the ball and aspire to be the best in the country, forget about the Heisman race. The Heisman is such a nebulous target, really, when you think about it. I mean, things have to go so right, and then also you have to win. But just to stack up some stats, but also be in big games and play in a big-time offense with great receivers. Where would you go right now, Bo? I think it's hard for some people around here even to grasp the elite level Ohio State is at. It has been for a while, but definitely is right now. And so it makes all kinds of sense for a quarterback to consider Ohio State. Let's put it that way.
Tim, I say this all the time. Ohio State historically is not entitled to what we've had play the quarterback position since Ryan Day's been here, and really Urban. You're not entitled to 3 straight first-round picks, and Will Howard's going to get picked, and Kyle McCord's going to get picked. You're not. That isn't what the history of the position was around here. That's what it's become now. That's what we're accustomed to now. But yeah, that's the thing with saying that was always so interesting to me was it's almost like a conversation. You're right on his end. Like, okay, can I go in there and be the starting quarterback in year 2? I'm not going to start at Alabama in year 1 behind Milroe, and I'm not going to start it anywhere probably in year 1. So then the question becomes, in year 2, can I get the job? That part we get from the Ohio State perspective. They had a lot into Air Noland. They have a lot in Lincoln Kienholz, and you knew Tavian St. Clair was coming in underneath it. So to add him, the squeeze had to be worth the juice had to be worth the squeeze, and so that's the part that I think is going to be very, very fascinating. Ryan's been adamant though that they're going to go all 3, even put Tavian St. Clair in that, which I understand that you say that out loud, but I also think this has to be a little bit different than even the C.J. Stroud one or the competition last year because of who that opener is. I think that they're all young kids. Like he talks about leadership and all those things, Tim. In order to be a leader, you got to be the starter.
I know. I even asked Billy Fessler that question, and he goes, "No, basically you refuted that. No, you don't.
Yes, you do.
But we all know. Go back and read the book, The Franchise. Or Meat on the Hoof, or whatever you want to read from back, sports books from way back when. The quarterback, when they brought Art Schleicher in, for example, in 1978, there was no doubt who the quarterback was going to be if he wasn't already. And of course, then he started the first game. The point is that guy sets the tone. I mean, he sets what you're going to be. Will Howard did that. Slowly but surely he did that last spring, and by the end of preseason camp, there really was no doubt he was the guy, obviously, there were some growing pains along. But, yeah, we all know that. It's like a starting pitcher, Roger Clemens or Roger who is that, Roger Houday. You hand the ball, you put the ball in Roger Clemens' glove and say, give him the heater. You know what I mean? It's like that's what you do with a guy like this. But here's the thing. They got to get all these guys ready to play. Right now, they only have 3 quarterbacks, and I would look for them, like we talked about last week. I'd look for them to look for somebody in the portal, but none of these guys have played, and so I mean, I don't count Lincoln Keno's against Missouri, because that was like watching Billy Bob Thornton starring as Davy Crockett in the Alamo. I mean, he had no chance. Just kind of hang on, but that's funny. Cole's got that Ohio State, Missouri T-shirt, because that was the worst. I tell him it's the worst offensive line play I've ever seen from Ohio State in that game, and to think how far that group came, holy smoly! I mean, that's crazy what they did in 1 year. And but back to the quarterback, he's got to set the tone. Everybody's going to be talking about the quarterback, whether you want them to or not, right? But you got to get all these guys somehow or another ready to play in a pinch.
I just Googled Julian Saint's high school football field, Tim. It would be as if God decided this is the best place to ever play high school football. Yeah. Let's play it here.
Yeah. And
it's stunning.
His coach has like a pizza restaurant downtown, and I've got a free pizza anytime I show up there. But it's funny where people grow up and where they end up.
It is.
Like Tim May was born in Demopolis, Alabama, grew up in Lufkin, Texas, and I'm talking to Bo Bishop of all people on the radio right now.
Yeah, from Kalispell, Montana. So, it all comes together.
Yeah, exactly, buddy. Every time I watch 1923 or Yellowstone, I think of you and your ilk.
Hey, real quick on 1923. Pretty grim to start this season. I don't know how much more of that I can take.
Yeah. I just.
Are you watching it? Are you up to speed?
No, I've not seen it. But I do catch up. I have the ability to catch up, But it's like the first episode of the Righteous Gemstones or wherever that was.
Boy, that was a choice.
What was that? But
that was wild.
Bradley Cooper, are you kidding me?
Only Danny McBride could do that.
Oh yeah, man! I'm telling you, there are geniuses in the world, and he is one of them. Agreed?
Yes, I would. I think he's pretty much got that corner all mapped out. Good talking to you as always, my friend. We'll do it again soon.
Always a pleasure, Bo. All right, buddy.
All right. There he goes. Tim May, the Tim May Show, right here at the Fan, joining on the Bryant Heating Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline. We hit Thing or Not a Thing up next. Bishop and Friends, right here on the Fan.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
The Ohio State Coaches Daily Show is brought to you locally on the Fan by Credit Union of Ohio.
This is the Daily Show brought to you by Encova Insurance, and filling in for Jake Diebler is Ron Stokes. So Ohio State's now out of the Big Ten tournament. They lose 77-70 to Iowa. Most likely, we don't know for sure, Ron, but the NCAA tournament is probably not part of their future. That's got to be a difficult thing as a player to be able to face that.
Yeah, it is, Paul. And, it's one of those things where by losing the game against Iowa, you now put yourself in the position of waiting on other people and what they're going to do and other teams and other folks. It's a frustrating loss. Clearly it was. Ohio State worked hard to put themselves in a position where they could potentially earn a way in the NCAA tournament. But at this point now, all you can do is just wait and see.
Okay, we'll have another comment in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Archie Griffin, two-time Heisman Trophy winner. The right coverage can be a game changer, both on and off the field. That's why Encova Insurance and their local independent agents are prepared for what's next and protect what matters most to you. Whether that's your home, car, business, or family, Encova's got your back with a policy that fits you perfectly. With local independent agents in your neighborhood and innovative insurance products that can be tailored to fit your unique needs, Encova's playbook is an easy win for your peace of mind. You can trust their team of agents to develop a strategy that's just right for you. And it's not just X's and O's. Your expert agent will guide you and provide insurance solutions so you can confidently manage your risk and count on a financially secure future. For auto, home, and business insurance, you want Encova on your team. Visit Encova.com today to find an agent near you. Encova is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks!
We're talking with Ron Stokes as Ohio State is finished in the Big Ten tournament, waiting to see what their future might be. We know there's the new college basketball crown tournament as well as the NIT if the NCAA doesn't happen. Ron, from being a former player, is just having the chance to play something that's important to these guys right now, possibly?
Yeah, especially for the younger players. I mean, their goal is many of them want to go on and play some type of professional basketball. So here's an opportunity for you to play and extend your season by playing in some type of postseason. Now, it's going to boil down to the leadership because it's a team decision to make sure that they all want to play and play at a certain level and represent the name across your jersey. But I'm sure that the players will get together with the head coach and make a decision on what's best for everyone moving forward.
We know the tricky part, if it's not the NCAA tournament, the transfer portal comes into play.
Yeah, all of that we're in a new world today in terms of players transferring in, transferring out. That's another dynamic to all of this. And then you factor in the fact that the Crown tournament is a couple of weeks away. So this is a new dynamic for everyone. You're just going to have to see how everything plays out.
All right, this is the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, basketball fans, Credit Union of Ohio wants to help you score more by making life more affordable. It's time to play with a team that helps you win every day. Credit Union of Ohio's loan rates have dropped to provide affordable financing for the things you want and need. It's time to reevaluate your current loans and consider refinancing with a team that cares about you. Check out current specials and get started scoring more money at cuofohio.org. That's cuofohio.org. NCUA insured, equal housing lender.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint with their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind. It's a front row seat to the big game. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen, and so big you won't believe it. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint, and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
It's been a great run. Care Heating and Cooling has achieved goals I could only imagine 30 years ago. But now it's time for the next generation to take over. This is Mike Weens, now the retired founder of Care Heating and Cooling with my sons, Dennis and Ryan.
Dad, I remember you saying that a family business should reflect family values, that a customer deserves to be treated with kindness and compassion.
And those values will never change. The reputation you built for being fair and honest is our greatest asset.
In fact, in 2024, CARE was awarded a BBB Torch Award for Ethics and named the Lennox Partner of the Year.
You don't earn those awards by leaving cat toys behind. It's an honor to continue serving Central Ohio as a locally owned, family-run business.
So, whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just honest advice, CARE is here for you.
Call Care Heating and Cooling at 1-800-COOLING or schedule an appointment online at careheatingandcooling.com. When you need a company you can trust.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
The perfect show for quarter zips and khaki shorts. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Indeed you are. Time for a little thing or not a thing. Hit it, fellas.
Thing or not a thing.
Sponsored by Apex Plumbing Pros.
On Thursday, now former Niners fullback Kyle Juszczyk met with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The 33-year-old Juszczyk had been in San Francisco since 2017 and has been selected to the last 9 Pro Bowls. On the field for 50% of San Francisco's offensive snaps in 2024, Juszczyk caught 19 passes for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. He took 5 carries, 26 yards, and a score. Arthur Smith did not utilize a fullback in his first season as Steelers offensive coordinator. Should Juszczyk sign with the Steelers, it would be a return to the AFC North as he was a Ravens 4th-round pick in 2013, and he spent his first 4 seasons with Baltimore. Thing or not a thing?
It feels like a thing that should be happening in Cleveland. I mean, if they're returning to what Stefanski, and you believe that they are, what Stefanski was offensively, he utilizes the fullback a lot. Like Juszczyk would fit quite well into what Cleveland would be doing there. So Arthur Smith, yeah, it's an odd one. Cole, you could speak to it better than me in terms of what Arthur Smith did offensively and what they're maybe I guess they got to get, in the end, the final analysis, if they don't have a quarterback, none of this is a thing.
Yeah, you ever hear the phrase rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what's been going on for many seasons. And I like Kyle Juszczyk. He's fun to watch, but is he going to be changing the outcomes of games? I don't think so. Najee Harris is now an L.A. Charger, so I guess Jaylen Warren's going to be the number one guy in the backfield. Honestly, we'll probably draft somebody in the middle rounds, and then it'll be running back by committee. So regardless, I don't think it's going to be the most impressive thing in the world. Now, I think he's useful, but like I said, is he changing the outcomes of games? Not tremendously. At least not for us.
No, and to the point, though, like, stylistically, if you are an operation that wants to have a fullback and utilize him, I mean, that's why he thrived in San Francisco, because Kyle uses those guys. But if Arthur Smith did not have a fullback last year and didn't utilize one, like, is he changing what he is philosophically? I mean, we talk a lot about the Browns and the Bengals and kind of like, what is going on? The Steelers, what is going on is right there with them, because all of a sudden you're bringing in a fullback. So then are you switching what you are offensively, your offensive identity, but can you do that until you know who the quarterback is? It's a wild spot.
I don't know. DK Metcalf trusts them, I guess.
Yeah.
Back to the 49ers. Hot take artist Nick Wright was on Colin Cowherd's show earlier this week and gave his thoughts on what San Fran should do regarding a new Brock Purdy contract.
If I were running the Niners, I would offer Brock such a team-friendly, almost insulting deal that I didn't expect him to take, because I really do want to see him this year without a super team around him, if he looks like he did last year without a super team around him. And if that's the case, then that simply is a player you cannot pay $55+ million. And the arguments people make as to why Brock Purdy should get that money, they're like, well, Tua got this and my guy Trevor got that. The problem with those arguments is, if you then ask those same exact people, hey, do you think those were good decisions by the team? They're like, no, of course not. That's a disaster. And so you don't sign and again, Purdy, obviously has accomplished more than Tua or Trevor in this league. But you don't use bad contracts as the standard for a contract you're going to give. And so the Niners have the leverage here, and if they're run as smartly as I think they are, I would expect them to use that.
Thing or not a thing?
I think his last point is I wouldn't do what he's saying, and the Niners aren't going to do what he's saying. But I also don't think that Brock Purdy's going to reset the quarterback market. I don't think that's going to be there at all. I think it'll be in the top half of the league at the position, maybe in the top third of the league in the position, but I don't think he's going to reset the market. Last year, their entire team was a walking wounded. I mean, you think about it, they lost every running back they had. Ayuk, Debo in and out. Like, they just didn't have anything from a health standpoint all season for them. Everything that could go wrong did. And he was still pretty good. 66%, 38-64, 20 touchdowns, 12 picks, 96.1 rating. QBR was about near his normal for his career, 67.9. So he's doing all of the right things. I think one thing, too, with Purdy, guys, I think because he was the last pick in the draft, that is an anchor around his neck. That people view him as like a charity case, even though he's played far higher than that level in his career.
Yeah, no question. And I heard that breath of pause that you took when you were asked thing or not a thing, because I agree. I was kind of split, because I hated the first half of what he said, and then I actually really liked the second half of what he said. So he said two different things. I thought he made a tremendous point of people who argue that so-and-so should get this much money because other quarterbacks did, even though you wouldn't justify those other teams making those decisions. So why would you justify this one? That actually made a lot of sense. His first point about intentionally tanking the season to see what Brock Purdy does on a bad football team. Hey, ask Joe Burrow what he does on a bad football team. Misses the playoffs because we just saw it this year. So I think that's an entirely foolish thing that you should put on Brock Purdy, is to intentionally somehow suffer this year. And then, as we discussed earlier in the show, what happens when you don't know what to do at quarterback? You see a bunch of people making desperate decisions. That's something that could set you back even farther. So I don't know where he's going with that, intentionally putting your quarterback in a position to lose. I don't get it.
The Panthers beat the Maple Leafs last night 3-2. Florida's netminder Sergei Bobrovsky had 25 saves in the win. It was the 424th of his career, moving Bob into the top 10 in NHL wins all time. Thing or not a thing?
Man, what a career. Is it the two Vezinas here, Stanley Cup champion, now top 10. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. Bob's a Hoff, man. Like, that's where it is. That's awesome. It's awesome. He was, you loved him here. He was absolutely unbelievable here. And so good for him. Very, very happy for him. And you know, he's like the old guy at the end of The Last Crusade. I guess it's Indiana Jones. He chose wisely, chose to go to Florida. It worked.
Yeah, so this is an interesting one because you can kind of celebrate the success because you were a part of it. Mm-hmm. But as he reaches this feat, he does it with somebody else who he won a Stanley Cup with. So the way that the exit went, it wasn't very smooth. So this is kind of like a 50-50 for fans. But yeah, like all those wins, a lot of them were with you.
7 seasons here. He's in his 6th season in Florida. Is kind of the setup of it. He's he's got the 2 Vezinas, Stanley Cup champion. It's a hell of a run. Do you guys remember the TSN Sports Center anchor that would do the Officer Bobrovsky top cop, number one cop?
Jay Onrait?
Jay Onrait. Yeah. They were like the last. And then Fox, if memory serves, I think Fox gave him and his buddy, who he did it with, Dan O'Toole, a bunch of money because they were going to relaunch Sports Center on FS1. And they gave him a bunch of money to front it, and then it didn't land the plane, I think, the way that they were hoping from a rating standpoint. But yeah, I remember that was one of the highlights of in fact, if you pull up his hockey reference, Officer Bobrovsky, the number 1 cop, like that's all on there. If you find, they're funny if you go find them. It was Jay Onrait. That's exactly right. All right, final hour of the program. Doug Lesmerises coming up at 11:30. What did we learn this week? Coming up next, Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
An encyclopedic knowledge of sports and other random things you may or may not care about.
I think I found my mentor.
Rockman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan.
Oh, by the way, Ivan's no longer on the project. His wife got a new job, so they're moving across the country.
Robin's top researcher is deviating to a new market. This isn't standard.
And now we're short-staffed. Who's going to finish all these projects?
She needs a cluster of new data analysts, and there's no margin for error.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Whoa, it's you, the Capital One Bank guy.
That's what they call me.
Mind if I get a selfie?
Yeah, sure thing. Save no fees or minimums on your Capital One checking account.
Wow, that's a keeper. So, where are you heading?
I'm off to spread the good news that Capital One helps people keep more money in their wallet with no overdraft fees.
Oh, you're the best Capital One Bank guy.
Hey, mind if I get a selfie?
Sure.
Say, Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
Skyline is celebrating St. Patty's Day for 2 days this year. Come enjoy your favorite 3, 4, or 5 way with green noodles, March 16th and 17th only. The only place to get your green ways is at participating Skyline locations.
Oh, by the way, Ivan's no longer on the project. His wife got a new job, so they're moving across the country.
Robin's top researcher is deviating to a new market. This isn't standard.
And now we're short-staffed. Who's going to finish all these projects?
She needs a cluster of new data analysts, and there's no margin for error.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to AT&T. How can I help?
Hey, I thought I could trust my twins with my phone, but they outnumber me, man.
Whoa, that's a lot of glitter paint.
Let's trade lives.
At AT&T, everyone can trade in an old or glittered iPhone any year, any condition, and save on a new iPhone. Ask how to get iPhone 16 Pro on us. New and existing customers. Savings vary by device and trade-in combinations. Restrictions apply. See att.com for details. AT&T. Connecting changes everything.
Are you turning 65? Are you looking for Medicare Advantage coverage? Great news! The Ohio State Health Systems and Mount Carmel Health Systems are in our provider network. Aetna has Medicare Advantage plans that include prescription drug coverage with a $0 monthly plan premium. Plus, the plans include benefits like dental, vision, and hearing. Call Aetna today at 1-888-76-AETNA to learn more. One of our licensed agents will answer your call. Call today, 1-888-76-AETNA. Aetna Medicare is an HMO PPO plan with a Medicare contract. Our D-SNPs also have contracts with state Medicaid programs. Enrollment in our plans depends on contract renewal. Plan features and availability may vary by service area. Participating healthcare providers are independent contractors and are neither agents nor employees of Aetna. The availability of any particular provider cannot be guaranteed, and provider network composition is subject to change. Other physicians, providers are available in our network.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Feeling lucky? Wear some green into the lodge on March 17th, and your Twin Peaks girl will bring you a free order of fried pickles. It's St. Paddy's Day, and we know how you like to party. Valid at participating locations only with a qualifying purchase. Get with your favorite lodge for more details.
Confidence is key this March, both in picking the right Cinderella teams for your bracket and the right contractor for your exterior project. When it comes to your roofing, gutter, or siding needs, call the team you can trust, Newman Roofing. Call 614-NEW-ROOF today or visit online at newmanroofing.com.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. Selection Sunday is 2 days away. No bids will be awarded on Friday, but 14 tickets have already been punched for the big dance. Ohio State's going to have to wait until Sunday to learn their postseason fate, but several Ohio teams are in action Friday. Mid-American Conference semifinals tonight in Cleveland. Toledo takes on Akron at 5 o'clock. Miami and Kent State go around 7:30. Same time in Washington, D.C., Dayton battles St. Joseph's in the Atlantic 10 quarterfinals. In the NBA tonight, the Cavaliers look to extend their winning streak to 16 games. Cleveland's at Memphis Friday at 8 p.m. Cavs have the best record in the NBA at 55-10. They'll host the Magic Sunday at 1. And in the NHL, the Blue Jackets look to halt a 2-game slide and stay in the second wildcard spot in the East. CBJ will host the New York Rangers tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. We'll have pregame coverage on The Fan at 6:30. And, of course, breaking sports news as it happens. All of it on The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
They'll offer betting advice, but don't bet on it being good. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
All right, final hour of the week. Doug Lesmerises coming up at 11:30. Between now and then, what exactly did we learn this week?
We're not trying to do too much around here, but over the course of 5 days, you might have gleaned some stuff. Bishop and Friends present What We've Learned This Week.
It's hard to find the positives in a Buckeye basketball collapse the way that we had here with the loss to Indiana. That's a tall task. Winning in Bloomington, desperate team, all of that on Saturday rather. But you needed to win against Iowa on Wednesday night. You needed that win to have a chance at the big dance, and maybe that's all it would have taken if you had beaten Iowa. Maybe that's it. Maybe it isn't because of some of the things that's happening around the country. For example, North Carolina winning a couple games in the ACC tournament. Now it looks like maybe they were pushing you out either way. But the reality of it is, and this is why this is a positive for me, there is an apathy around this program. Because if you are on social, if you were on our YouTube chat on Thursday, if you were someone who was reacting to the things that we were saying in terms of this is where this program is. This is what Ohio State basketball has become, a perpetual bubble team, bubble out the last 3 years. But this is where the program is, and it's going to take a lot to dig out of it. But what I saw was a great deal of give a damn from the fan base to a return to at least what the program was in the second part of the Mata and the first part of the Holtman run. That a return to the very least of it's automatic you're getting in the tournament. Now let's try to get to the second weekend. That's the situation that I found. And I took some level of, okay, it's a bigger hole than we thought. It's going to have to be really organized when it comes to the portal because you're going to have to absolutely amplify this roster with that. But I was pleased to know that it wasn't nobody cares. You do care. You do want a basketball program at Ohio State that makes you proud, that has a standard, that at the minimum is a tournament team, that every few years is a Sweet 16 team, and once a decade is a Final Four team. That's the minimum requirement that people want around here. And it hasn't been that for a dozen years. And digging out of it's going to be tough and complicated. But at least there's still give a damn.
The college basketball crown in its inaugural year is a 16-team tournament. It'll be held in Las Vegas starting Monday, March 31st. First round, second round, and the first round and the second round, those will be held at the MGM Grand Garden Arena, with the semifinals and the final will be held at the T-Mobile Arena on the Vegas Strip. So you're going to have 16 teams in this. You'll have auto bids from 3 conferences, the Big 10, the Big 12, and the Big East. What do they all have in common? Well, they took money from Fox. So it looks like that's going to be the destination for the Ohio State Buckeyes, and it could provide you some pretty good matchups in terms of brands, in terms of competitive teams that aren't going to make the big dance, that aren't going to accept bids to the NIT, and give you valuable postseason experience for guys like Junie Mobley. Hopefully Devin Royals here on this team, because you never know what could happen with the transfer portal. It starts on March 31st. It looks like you're going to have that portal opening on the 24th or 25th. So if a player pops into the portal before the 25th and the 31st, likely not going to Vegas with you.
I'm just going to ask you, are you sure you're going to have a crown tournament? Are you sure that all of the teams that are invited can field teams? If you were a kid who was on the fence,
get ready for a lot of Colin White.
I mean, this isn't hyperbole. I'm asking you, are you sure that the teams are going to be able to field teams? Like, if you're someone who's considering the portal, even if you're not in it yet, or if you're thinking about getting into it, are you sure they're going to play? Like, you got to have a conversation with your roster and say, do we want to do this? I'm asking. I don't know.
I don't think anybody does. And I wonder if the people at Fox or Ghost Energy,
did anybody consider that
sponsor? They're like, we didn't think about that.
Did anybody consider if these teams can field actual basketball teams?
No, because you signed the contracts, you took the money, and damn everything else.
So you said, who is this? It's Big 12, Big East, Big 10?
Yep.
Those are the three
conferences will have 2 auto bids. I think they'll select some at large, so you might have invites sent out to SEC teams, invites sent out to ACC teams.
Is the NIT over?
No. Well, it's not. To answer your question, this is what Fox is doing to try to kill it.
Okay, so the SEC and the ACC teams will say no because their partnership is with ESPN. So they will play in the NIT because that's where their checks are cashed. So what this will be is the ACC and SEC and mid-major teams will be playing in the NIT. The other thing with the NIT is you get home games, so that's gate that you get when it's on campus. So there will be a great deal of attractiveness to that versus the expense of having to go to Las Vegas and everything that comes with that from a program standpoint. So my guess is that the 16 teams that are in this thing are to be made up almost entirely of Big East, Big 10, and Big 12. So you theoretically could have the last 3 Ohio State basketball coaches all in this thing. Because Butler could be in it. I don't know if you have to have a winning record, but DePaul.
Well, to your earlier question, like Chris Holtmann and DePaul got knocked out of the Big East tournament yesterday in like double overtime to Creighton.
Yeah.
I don't think they have a winning record, but it almost doesn't matter. If they can field a team, we'll take you.
Neither does Thad at Butler. They're both 14 and 19.
We'll take you.
Yeah.
Do you have 7 guys? All right.
Let's
do this.
I don't know that anyone considered this.
Nope.
Like, okay, we're going to put on a tournament. Okay, but who's playing? Can they field teams? This will be a problem for everything except NCAA, the NCAA tournament. I think it'll be a problem in the NIT. It'll definitely be a problem in this thing. Like, who's going? What I'm wondering about, like, is Fox going to have to financially incentivize these kids to play? Are they going to have to use NIL to pay these kids to play?
So that was the rumor surrounding the announcement of this event, was Fox was going to do their own tournament to kill the NIT and offer NIL incentives to players to do this. But I haven't seen anything that's been official about it, just rumors that you find on the social media platform formerly known as Twitter. So it's take it for whatever that's worth. But to your point, that would be, I think, the only thing to guarantee that full rosters, or at least somewhat full rosters, can make the trek to Vegas is we'll give you $1 million and you can split it amongst your teammates if you win.
That's wild.
So talk about stuff we learned this week. We're learning things right now.
We're learning it in real time, baby. We're learning it in real time.
Kind of terrifying.
Well, I was curious when the portal opened. You know, that's
after,
where
it's the day after the second round concludes.
We're going to get to a point where some kid's going to hold a team hostage. I'm not playing Elite Eight unless this. Like that's where we're headed. So that's wild. That's a wild setup there. We also figured out this week, because of the amount of money that was paid at the quarterback position in the National Football League, that the middle class is something to aspire to be in the National Football League. After a decade of, hey, let's go to the bottom, put ourselves in position to draft the number one quarterback, tanking became a roadmap for teams after what Cleveland did, going 1-31, Miles and Baker. They put themselves in position to get their franchise defensive end, their franchise quarterback in back-to-back picks. They had never picked number one overall until they did that in those situations, and then that jump-started the franchise. Did it work in the terms of Super Bowls? No, but they made the playoffs twice. They did so once with that exact core, with Baker as the quarterback and Miles on the defensive end. What I think we learned this week about the NFL is that it's painful to be at the bottom, and there's a pound of flesh that comes with it, with your fan base, with your organization, that is tough to swallow. And that if you are the New York Jets, rather than going to the bottom, let's see if we can win 6 or 7 games with Justin Fields. Let's see if we can do that. If you are the Indianapolis Colts, instead of putting ourselves in position potentially to take the next Manning, maybe Daniel Jones can get us to the playoffs. That's what we saw. That's what those contracts are about. Sam Darnold in Seattle. It looked like Seattle was flipping and going to go back to the bottom. No, they're going to stay right in the middle with Darnold and a swing there. Those contracts that were given out in the middle of the league, that to me was a huge sea change. You could have had Daniel Jones on waivers, guys. He was on the practice squad of Minnesota. He got $17 million. You could have got him for free. You could have got Justin Fields for a bucket of balls. He got $30 million guaranteed, $40 million over 2 years. Sam Darnold, bucket of balls, over $100 million contract. The move to the middle in the NFL was noteworthy this week. Very, very noteworthy. All right, one of the great what-ifs. We will get to that coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
The sound of Paul Keels calling a Buckeye game is erotic.
Oh, yes.
Your home of the Buckeyes, The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
At Diamonds Direct, our experts go the extra mile to ensure you have the tools to say I do with absolute confidence. Our promise to you is a completely risk-free shopping experience rooted in transparency, education, and integrity. No pressure, no intimidation, just clarity and confidence in your purchase. But we're about more than just price. Everything is backed by our exclusive guarantees. Put our tools to the test against any competitor, and our expert staff will ensure you get the very best overall value and unforgettable experience. Learn more at DiamondsDirect.com. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
Make your money go further with on-the-spot savings at Rent-A-Center. Right now, get top furniture and appliance brands starting as low as $19.99 per week in rent without using credit. Only at Rent-A-Center. Rental purchase agreement. Pricing valid February 9th, 2025 to April 5th, 2025 on new merchandise at participating locations. You will not own merchandise until the total amount necessary to acquire ownership is paid in full or you exercise your early purchase option. Ownership is optional. See store for details.
Ready to hit the road in a new car? With Pathways, enjoy up to 90 days with no payments and low auto loan rates. Learn more at pathwayscu.com. Pathways Financial Credit Union, your true financial partner. Federally insured by NCUA.
For a limited time at Verizon, you can get our best price ever for a single line. Just $45 per month when you bring your phone, which is less than you spend on Too Tired to Cook takeout every week. Get one line on Unlimited Welcome for $45 per month with AutoPay plus taxes and fees. Visit your local Columbus Verizon store by April 2nd to save. $20 monthly promo credits applied over 36 months with a new line on Unlimited Welcome. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G and 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Additional terms apply.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Well, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students.
I'm an old school Joe. I never lay juice I don't want to lay. I don't hate my money like that. I'd rather lay minus 108 than minus 110, wouldn't you? Prime Sports is Ohio's full-time reduced juice sports book. Download the Prime Sports Ohio app or visit our website, primesportsbook.com. Get a welcome bonus to match your initial deposit up to $400 in bonus bets. And be a member of the Prime Sports family.
Terms and conditions apply. Visit website for details. Must be 21 and present in Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
In-betweens are made for pizza. In between meals, meetings, thoughts, that's pizza time. Stop at Speedway and get 2 hot, delicious slices of pizza and a Mountain Dew 20-ounce for $5 with Speedy Rewards. The convenience stores of Speedway. Valid through 4/29/25. See app for full terms.
The Buckeyes are national champions. And you listen to it all right here on The Fan. And next year when they do it again, it'll be here on The Fan. And the year after that, well, you know the drill. Always and forever, your home of the Buckeyes. The Fan.
2 hours ago, Kyle arrived at the bar.
Hey, what's everyone drinking?
30 minutes ago, Kyle got his friends another round of drinks.
Cheers.
5 minutes ago, Kyle decided to drive home drunk. A minute ago, a law enforcement officer pulled up behind Kyle.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
A chain of events that began 2 hours ago is about to change Kyle's whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
Springtime is here, and you know what that means. It's time for mulch madness. Did you know that too much mulch is bad for trees and shrubs? 2 inches of mulch is plenty. Any more and you risk causing roots to grow up and around trunks, which increases unhealthy stress, shortens tree life, and even keeps moisture from getting down to tree roots. To find out more about mulch madness or to find a certified arborist near you, visit treesforohio.org. That's trees, the number 4, ohio.org.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Get out there and enjoy the nice weather today. It'll be our last sunny day for quite some time. Sunshine today, near record warmth, high 78. That record is 78, so we could possibly tie or surpass that record. By the way, the average high for this time of the year, about 49. So we are close to 30 degrees above normal. Increasing clouds tonight, mild low 59, showers and thunderstorms on your Saturday. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 weather impact forecast on 97.1 The Fan.
The Big Nine was a sad, incomplete place. Enter Ohio State. The rest is history. The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
The Fan. Sports conversation that's worthy of a toast, or at least a stiff drink. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Was Robichaud, I think he was like taunting everybody who's in an office right now with the weather forecast. You guys hear that? It's the last sunshine we're going to see for quite some time today.
I don't believe him. I'm choosing not to believe the science.
Going for the jugular, man.
It's going to be rain tomorrow.
Yeah.
Some rain Sunday. But then for St. Patty's Day, I see a sun emoji and a cloud emoji next to it. So
yeah, same for Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay. Sometime.
It's only a couple days.
Yeah. All right. This is one of those days though where if there was a federal law, 5 days with no notice, I'm good, I'm out. This would be one of them. This is probably on a short list. You just get out of and it's been pretty decent, this week, but you just get through all of the winter, none of the sun, and then all of a sudden you get an 80 in the middle of March. Live, damn it. You got to get out there and live.
This is one of those days, I hearken back to when we were still doing radio shows from our houses and apartments, that during commercial breaks you could just kind of walk outside and just get bathed with the sun. And then as soon as you were done, so say we have the out at 55:50, you're outside at 11:57.
That's exactly.
You're not worried about the rest of your damn day.
No, you're in the clear. And speaking of that, we touched on it. This was the 5-year anniversary of the day the sports world stopped. There was that Wednesday night Fred Hoiberg, and if you have to wrap your head around it, I certainly felt this way. I can't speak for you two, but I certainly felt that the fear that I had at that time was that when Fred Hoiberg went down, my God, can you die from COVID like right now? Like, because we didn't know anything about it. You didn't know much about it other than it was a pandemic that had swept across Asia, and that there were these pop-ups that were happening all over the United States. Remember in those days, it was like there was one case here and 3 cases here and 1 detection there, and all of a sudden then it just went, and it went like crazy, and then the world shut down. And Threes and I were doing the show as that Thursday show as we were waiting, is the Big Ten going to play or not? And they waited a long time. And Bake shared that story. He was doing the girls basketball state tournament, and they were like on the court. And then Governor DeWine said, yeah, we're done. Shut it down. We're out. And then that Friday, it was like, okay, now what's our plan going forward? And that's where it all went from there. And it's really remarkable in all industry, but in ours, that there was really no stopping. Like we just kept doing shows, I mean, you just kept going, and there was no sports for a long, long time. And I want to say the first thing back was, I want to say it was PLL. I think it was professional lacrosse. There was some golf that happened. And then I think the first team sport was professional lacrosse. They went and played in, like, I want to say Utah in a bubble. It was outdoors. It was in Utah. And I remember that on either ABC or NBC as one of the first things back. The golf happened pretty quickly. You remember that, like, there was the match that Tiger played, I want to say at Seminole down in Florida where they played. So there was some of that stuff that happened that year. This is the 5-year anniversary, and it was this Thursday when it all really shut down. And you said something yesterday on the show that got me thinking about maybe the biggest what if in Ohio sports, and just those circumstances never aligning again, Dayton basketball.
Yeah. I'm willing to put that against any sports what if. Is Obi Toppin and the Dayton Flyers in the NCAA tournament that never was in 2020? Because there were some, like, it was the Sporting News maybe, or CBS Sports said that had it been played, it would have been the Flyers cutting down the final net.
Buddy, they were 29-2. Now, they were not the number one team in the country at the end. They went 18-0 in the A-10. Obi Toppin in the mix, and they were 29-2 on the season. And the thing that I think makes it such a what if in the what is the reality of the circumstances, that you have the National Player of the Year played for Dayton. That it was Dayton, which is this incredible basketball town. I mean, like, the UD Arena is perfect. Most of you have been. If you have not, find a way to go. It's perfect for basketball. Absolutely flawless. That team in those circumstances, like, those circumstances are not going to repeat for them. Very unlikely that they'll be in a situation where they're a number one seed in the NCAA tournament. There's other ones like that. The Kenyon Martin one jumps out. You got to be of a certain age to remember it. Kenyon Martin broke his leg, and Cincinnati was the number one team in the country. But that was an injury. I mean, that's kind of like what I think a lot of people feared was going to happen with Cooper Flagg yesterday when he went down. Was like, oh my God. I was
just about to say, is like that become a what if Duke stumbles here? They go, well, if Cooper Flagg.
Yeah. But the UD one it's an all-timer. So the final AP top 25 for that year, Kansas was the number one team in the country. Gonzaga was 2, Dayton 3. I could give you guys a million guesses who the number 4 team in the country was, and I promise you would never get it. Never.
Gonzaga.
Never. Gonzaga was 2.
Okay.
That's actually logical.
Good job listening, Eric.
Florida State.
Oh.
Florida State was the number 4 team in the country. So it was Kansas, Gonzaga, Dayton, Florida State. That was your 1, right. 2, 3, 4.
I've revised my take. The 2020 Florida State Seminoles, the sport's greatest what if.
Yeah, Leonard Hamilton.
He's stepping down. Mm-hmm. Yeah, finally stepping down there after forever. Had a great run. I'm old enough that I was at his introductory press conference. But yeah, that Dayton team was like, now what? The other thing that I remember so vivid, it's funny, this got me, when we started talking about this yesterday, I was looking at all of my camera roll in my phone from that time. And I remember, like, my wife obviously then became teacher. We're lucky that she doesn't have to work, and so she became the teacher for the kids, and we would do Zoom classes, and then we put like a makeshift classroom in the basement where she would then instruct them, and then I would do like gym class, and I would go out and like I'd put them through like gym class.
Picturing you just throwing dodgeballs with kids.
That's exactly right. Yeah, we're throwing dodgeballs. I was just looking at a video of they were playing like roller hockey in the driveway. I saw a video. One thing that I had forgotten all of this. Like, it's such a blur. Our neighborhood and in the area we live, a lot of the neighborhoods, they did this thing where like it was like you just wanted to see other people. So we did like these lanterns that were lining the driveways, and like it was like a parade. People would drive through in a car and you'd wave at them. How you doing? I mean, that was reality 5 years ago, guys.
That's how they did high school graduations, too. They would have drive-through graduations just driving to high school parking lots. And I don't even know, because I had already graduated at this time. I don't know if they were like actually passing out diplomas or if it was just like a wave or something.
You're exactly right.
I don't know if you could pass out diplomas.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to put it on the ground and then walk away, and then you come up and get it.
You remember having to like Clorox wipe groceries?
Oh,
anybody else do that? Just me, huh?
No, we did it in our house.
Yeah, and then you could go in, like so many people at a time could go in to get the groceries. Yeah, I mean, like I said yesterday, I was Doc Brown on the plutonium hunt, like head to toe covered, like goggles and face mask and gloves and all of this stuff. I mean, yeah, it was crazy. And I think the other thing, and I think why it bleeds together for all of us, is because the days stacked, the weeks stacked, the months stacked, and it was the same perpetually, and it continued for a lot longer than you remember. Because I think that people forget that really 21, you were still in it. The vaccine didn't come until February of 21, if memory serves. January, February of 21, somewhere in there. So it continued on. I remember we went to the Bahamas for spring break, and it was incredibly nervy in 21. You had to show proof of vaccine to be able to travel there. And then this was the real hitch, and this was the gamble. In order to fly back, you had to test negative down there. So you can plan and budget for the Bahamas for spring break, but then you can't plan or budget for you've got COVID. You can't get back into the United States until that's clear. So I remember like us standing outside of a room in the Atlantis, and there was a line of folks, and you would have to go get tested. And it's like, what do we even do if like one of the boys, well, if one of the boys tested positive, we just left and we got two more, we're fine. But what do you do from the standpoint of now you're stuck? Am I going to spend another week?
Head to the bar.
Oh, let me tell you something. The bars at Ohio State, COVID did not exist as soon as you walked in there.
Oh, right.
No names, please.
No.
I know the statute of limitations has since passed. Gosh,
COVID protocols went away as soon as you walked in there. It was shoulder to shoulder. And I was in there.
Of course you were. What else are you going to do?
Exactly.
You're a kid. Like, there was nothing going on.
No kidding. And you remember, like, sports controversies with COVID? Like, remember when the Dodgers won the World Series and, like, Justin Turner tested positive mid-game and left and then came back to celebrate on the field?
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah. Yeah, the bubble and all of it. Yeah, it was crazy. We remember it because that national championship game against Alabama, Ohio State had a bunch of COVID, and they had to deal with it. Alabama had none. No, they're good. They're clean. Yeah, different tests down there.
Remarkable.
Another great
Everyone
what if.
Was healthy.
Another great what if is Michigan bailing on the 2020 game.
Oh, they were terrible that year too.
They sucked. And who knows? Like, do they win that national championship if Harbaugh gets buried in 2020 by Ohio State? Is he even still there? You look back on him now and you say he's Danny Ocean. He got all of it. But if you put yourself in the spot he was in right there, he was hanging on by a thread, and he was begging anybody to hire him. Anybody in the NFL. And nobody had any interest.
Am I correct in saying they lost to Rutgers that year?
I think you're right.
I think Michigan State beat him by like 24 or something. Like they were
bad.
Horrible.
Yeah. No, it's a wild time in world history, American history, and then through the sports prism of it. Yeah, you're right. It was absolutely bonkers. Doug Maurice at 2 minutes, Bishop and Friends, right here on the Fan.
They say great customer service is a thing of the past, but not at Newman Roofing. Quality products, expert installers, and a team you can trust is the core foundation at Newman Roofing. Call 614-NEW-ROOF today to have your roofing, siding, or gutters replaced this spring, or visit online at newmanroofing.com.
Hi, this is Bob Masheter from Dick Masheter Ford. Thank you to all of Central Ohio as we head towards 60 years of doing business in the Buckeye State. Dad opened up in 1967 simply trying to offer a better way to buy a car, and we've been working ever since to serve our neighbors. We have served you through wars, recessions, and even a Chinese virus. Here is to serving you and your kids and your grandkids for the next 60 years, except on Sundays when we're closed, because it's the right thing to do. Still 24/7 at masheterford.net. Thanks.
Basketball from noon to midnight. Scotty Vegas here, and we're throwing a Vegas-style basketball party at Hollywood Casino at the ESPN Bet Sportsbook. I even went out to Vegas to scout out how to throw this party. Tough assignment. The Fan is doing 24 hours of watch parties. The opening weekend of the tournament, there'll be custom T-shirts, Pop-A-Shot, horse games. Oh, and don't miss a game with a 50-foot video wall. Reserve your spot at HollywoodColumbus.com. Must be 21 or older to enter. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Skyline is celebrating St. Patty's Day for 2 days this year. Come enjoy your favorite 3, 4, or 5-way with green noodles, March 16th and 17th only. The only place to get your green ways is at participating Skyline locations.
When you reach for UDF's new pizza, you're getting more than just a quick slice. You're getting family recipe focaccia dough, handcrafted in our bakery. You're biting into a hot, crispy crust. You're tasting delicious sauce and loads of meaty, cheesy flavor. You might even be burning the roof of your mouth on that first bite, but that's okay. It's a good burn. UDF makes more than just pizza. We make pizza for you. New Sicilian-style pizza from United Dairy Farmers at participating locations. UDF, made for you.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Drink recommendations, movie reviews, sports discussion, or whatever the hell Reeser does. This is Bishop and Friends.
We missed last week. We had press conferences run a little bit long, but we always like talking to our good buddy Doug Maurice, King of the North. He joins us on the Bryan Heating and Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline. We were just having a little discussion about 5 years ago this week, which is when the sports world stopped. Where were you when it stopped, and what do you remember most about this time?
I can very specifically remember doing talk podcasts for Cleveland.com. Together around a microphone in our office, which is how we used to do podcasts.
Sure.
And I think it was on March 11th it had come out that they weren't going to let media in the locker room at the Big Ten tournament. And some of the people on the podcast with me thought that was outrageous. How dare they ban the media from the locker room? And I was like, nobody cares. The world is going to shut down. Because I've been reading a lot of stuff from China. And so it was like I can very remember being like, people don't get it yet. And then it happened. And then when I was still writing at Cleveland.com, I wrote a column about how Governor DeWine was very proactive in shutting down sports in Ohio, even before the NCAA tournament did stuff. And I was kind of proud that Ohio was proactive in trying to protect people in a very difficult time. And I thought that we did the right thing in trying to get out in front of it. And then everything went nuts.
Yeah, it did. And it's amazing how the trickle back happened. And it's amazing to me. I was just saying this, Doug, a lot of times 20 and 21 feel like all one to me. I can't differentiate. Sometimes I think the vax and kind of the return to relative normalcy happened a lot sooner than it did. A lot of those days, weeks, and months just kind of all blend together for me. And then you start to think about the Ohio State-Michigan game wasn't played in 2020. The everything around the national champion. You think about Ohio State going to fly to Illinois and then not. And then it was okay, we're going to fly day of and then go play Illinois. It's just crazy to look back on 5 years later.
Yeah, and when you go in the historical record and stuff, right? Because there'll be guys who are ending their careers now. Their sixth year. You look back at you look up, I don't know, Garrett Wilson's stats, and it's in 2020, he didn't play as many games. It's just. I can always remember. I think just looking back on stuff in 1943 or something, they played the Rose Bowl in North Carolina. during World War II, like something happened. Just like when you go back and look at stuff, right? And I think about that a lot. Like 50 years from now, the Bo Bishop and Doug Lesmerises and the sports fans of then, when they look back and they'd be like, "What? They didn't play Ohio State, Michigan one year?" And of course, that won't be the only thing people remember about COVID. It's not like the only thing we remember about World War II is they moved the Rose Bowl for a year. But it's nuts they closed the Rose Bowl in North Carolina. It's nuts that there was a year Ohio State and Michigan didn't play each other.
Yeah, it is. The reason we missed last week is Ryan had his availability. There was a lot that jumped out to me from that. He is clearly just so rejuvenated, shot out of a cannon, and he should be based on what happened in their run. What did you kind of take note of in terms of his conversation with you guys, the availabilities of Matt Patricia, and also Brian Hartline as well? What are some of the headlines that jumped out for you?
Yeah, it's interesting for me because, like, as you know, I'm not around day to day as much with Ohio State as I had been for 20 years. And so I hadn't seen Ryan in a little bit. And I did, like, I just think he's got it. Like, he's so – and I got a chance to talk to him a little bit. Like, just he is such a different person than 2019. Like, it's crazy. That it's everything everybody talks about. But for a guy who'd never been a head coach and I have some real concerns about, like, I've said on our Kings of Columbus podcast, I think losing Jim Knowles and Chip Kelly will affect my view of Ohio State football in 2025. I think it will factor into what I think they'll do. I usually don't care as much about assistants, but I think it's going to matter to me. But I thought his explanation of how he put the staff together, of why he wanted someone like Matt Patricia, because he wanted to keep everybody else on staff and he didn't want a DC who was going to come in and blow out the staff and want his own guys, the way that Hartline kind of earned the role and grew into it. Like, I think there's reasonable questions, but I also stepped away thinking, like, oh, wait, like, he's got it. Like, he's got his handle on this. And when he just mentions Nick Saban in passing, this is, I looked at how Nick Saban put his staff together. Nobody's saying Ryan Day is Nick Saban. But to think about where he was in 2019, he'd never even been a middle school head coach, and where he is now 6 years later as a national champion. And I thought it should have been reassuring for Ohio State fans. I think there's real questions. You lose that many players, you lose maybe two of the best coordinators in the country. But I don't think there's any questions about the head coach. He's got to beat Michigan, but I kind of left thinking, like, yeah, he's got it.
I thought that the hires, I love the way you phrase that, he got it. The juxtaposition of walking off the field after the Michigan game to the guy who had that press conference last Friday, and all of the actions. These are actions of a guy who is entirely comfortable in his own skin, in his space in college football, and really is probably on a short list. It's, if you do the conversation of who's the face of college football, it's always been coaches. It's him and Kirby. It's him and Kirby. And then it's and you get in that category because you've won the national title. Beyond that, then if you want to go Lanning, Sark, all those guys, like, they're all chasing it. Dabo's got the 2 titles, but he's fading. It's him and Kirby. One in the South, one in the North. They are the faces of the sport.
And everything that he went through, got to beat Michigan, right? Of course. He's got to beat Michigan. But he'll never go through that again because he's got a ring, because they have a trophy. And I've talked about it before. Trussell won it in year 2. Urban won it in year 3. Woody won it in year 4. It took Day till year 6, which, when you phrase it that way, sounds crazy. But it's just the idea of that's when you became a made man. He's a made man at Ohio State now, right? And that doesn't mean that you can fail. It doesn't mean you can go 7-5. It doesn't mean you can lose 7 straight to Michigan. But you earn some benefit of the doubt, both from the fan base, but I also think you feel it yourself. Right? And not every single action, not every single game is like a test of who you really are. Because, like, who are you really? You're a national champ. And so I thought he went through the fire and came out the other side when he lost to Michigan and then almost beat Georgia in 2022. But that was nothing compared to this. Right? So it just will never be quite like that again. Now, if they lose to Michigan this year, like, people are still going to be mad, but it's not going to be the same kind of conversation because of what they did. And we know that. The fans know that. I think he knows that too. And I think there's a confidence that will then serve him well and serve the program well as a result.
Let's do regional stuff here a little bit, because when you start doing the conversation about who's next, whose time it is, I mean, I just look at Penn State and I say, if not now, when, James? Everybody else is starting over at quarterback around the country. A lot of them are. A lot of new faces at the quarterback position. This Penn State's in a heck of a spot. I see him on the cover of the video game. Like, all of these things matter a little bit. Is this spring? Is this a Penn State spring and then build into next fall? Is that the Northern program where it's like, boy, if not now, when?
Yeah, I think that's fair. The win totals are out for everybody. There's a clear top four in the North right now. Over/under win totals, 10.5 wins. Ohio State, Penn State, Notre Dame, Oregon. So I think those are the programs and also the teams this year, right, in the North. And it's that, I think it's September 27th. It's in September, Oregon at Penn State. That's what we're aiming toward. Because that's going to be a test. Like, Oregon's going to be playing a young quarterback, guy who's played in Dante Moore, but it's going to be year 3 of Drew Aller as a starter. Huge offensive line back, a lot of defensive starters back, 2 great running backs, a couple transfer receivers. It is, if not now, when for them. And then it's a test of James Franklin. This is, can he handle this? And it's just so interesting that it is the same model. It's the winning Michigan model. It's the winning Ohio State model. And now it applies to Penn State. And so the other 2 teams got over the top. That it is on them, and they have to handle that. Again, I didn't love the burden, the natty or bust stuff with Ohio State last year. But I think we're going to get to those conversations with Penn State because they're a little more bust. That's the thing with Ohio State. Yes. Ohio State's never bust. If Ohio State had won the national title, it's like, oh no, what are they going to do? I don't know. They have Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Smith and Julian Sand. I think they'll be okay. This is a peak for Penn State, right? This is an absolute peak. So there are going to be those conversations, and how does James Franklin handle it? So it'll start this spring, but it's really going to be, we're really aiming towards that Oregon game. But then the other thing is, don't overlook Notre Dame. All those injuries they had last year that they fought through and got to the national title game, a lot of those guys are back. And they have a quarterback competition, so until we see who their quarterback is, we don't know. But they have 3 real options there, and their schedule's not very tough. I think Notre Dame's going to be really good this year, too. So the North's in good shape. North's in very good shape. And you want to talk about precocious quarterback talent because it always starts there. You talk about Dante Moore at Oregon, who was a big-time player, went to Chip and UCLA originally before transferring in. Underwood got all the money, and he's running his mouth and talking to LeBron James about it. So you got that there. And then Julian saying here, and I'll get you out of here on this one. I just come back to him from the perspective of that was a quarterback room that already had Will Howard. They had a lot into Aaron Noland at that time. We know they loved Lincoln Keenholz. It had Devin Brown. There was a gamble for Ohio State to bring Julian Sand in here. And they had to have felt that he was so special that the juice was worth the squeeze, right? I mean, I really thought I thought it was a reasonable conversation at the time of are you sure you want to do this? Aaron Noland's been your guy, he's been in the class for a while, and look what happened. Aaron Noland's gone. So they picked Julian. I mean, they knew that. They knew that was a very strong possibility. So in the end, Aaron Noland was a top 10 quarterback who they've been on forever, and they picked Julian Sand over him. And now Julian Sand's here. So yeah, I mean, he's the game changer. I mean, Underwood and Sand with what they are, and it's just hard for a true freshman, but where they are, they're so important to what's going to happen this season because if they are who they're going to be quick, then all of a sudden we're like that Ohio State Michigan game, but the whole year too. It's going to be fascinating. But I mean, what would lead us away from a CJ Stroud path with Sand, right? But the thing you have to remember about CJ Stroud, by the end of his first year as a starter, his second year as a Buckeye, CJ Stroud was unbelievable. He was a Heisman candidate. At the beginning, he had a rough first half against Minnesota, right? Had the pick at the end against Oregon when they lost, had kind of a weird Tulsa game, then took that week off for a shoulder thing, whatever, reset himself, and got there. But it wasn't instantaneous. So I think sky's the limit for Julian Sand. But that doesn't mean he's going to look like a Heisman candidate week 1 against Texas. So, I'm curious. I think he'll get there, but I'm curious when are there going to be bumps on the road and how will everybody handle it for a defending national champion if the quarterback has a rough game or two, which is what C.J. Stroud did his first year as a starter.
C.J. got Minnesota. He's got Arch in Texas here. I mean, that's just good Lord. That's going to be fun. All right, buddy. Good stuff as always.
Thanks, Bo.
All right, there he goes. Doug Lesmerises, Kings of the North, with Bill Landis on the Bryan Heating and Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. Get you 3 things on a Friday. Up next, Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
The only workplace in America to participate in the Doorknob Fart Game. And we also play office basketball and sometimes do radio. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Imagine all the things you dream of under one roof. You're thinking of eBay. Fashion, collectibles, car parts, it's all there. Go find the thing that keeps you up at night. eBay, things people love.
March is on at Lindsay Honda. Shoot your shot and save. It's madness. You get to choose your finance rate on over 600 new Lindsay Hondas. 0%, 1.9, 2.9, and up to a full 60 months long. And no trade-in required. This deal works with 0 down. March is on at Lindsay Honda. Save with rates as low as 0% at lindsayhonda.com.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. See lindsayhonda.com for details.
Back in the studio with a return visit from
Todd Schmelt.
Todd, the last time you were with us, you claimed to be
the dumbest person in Columbus.
You're being really hard on yourself.
Not in the least. You know what I got?
I hate to ask.
One of them thermostats with the dial and the needle. Woo, woo, woo.
Maybe that's not modern, but not.
What am I? Eli Whitney, Elias Howe, Johann Gertis?
I don't know who those people are.
Those are old-timey people from the 19th century, and that's me. Outdated, like my silly old thermostat.
Okay, look, you're not the dumbest guy in Columbus. You just haven't called Apex Pros.
The pros who knows?
Those guys. Whether it's the latest technology, fixing your furnace, or a brand new system, they know all the stuff so you don't have to.
I don't have to know it all?
Nah, you just have to know the pros who knows.
Apex Pros. I'm not the dumbest guy in Columbus.
I didn't even know who Johann Gertis was.
Inventor of the gas-powered unicycle. Look it up, doy.
Okay, you don't have to be mean.
No doubt about it. Columbus loves Apex Pros, the pros who knows. ApexPros.com.
I'm an old school Joe, and my philosophy is simple and effective. At the end of the day, it's not what you win or lose, it's what you save. And betting reduced juice at Prime Sports Ohio is the way to save money on every single bet. Download the Prime Sports Ohio app or visit our website, primesportsbook.com. Get a welcome bonus to match your initial deposit up to $400 in bonus bets. And be a member of the Prime Sports family.
Terms and conditions apply. Visit website for details. Must be 21 and present in Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Miss, your burger is served.
Thank you.
And if I may suggest a pairing, this is our finest Pepsi Zero Sugar. The sweetness of Pepsi perfectly balances the savory notes of your burger, while the citrus and carbonation elevates the taste for a truly stunning flavor profile. Bon appetit.
Now that is one perfect combination. If this is how the other half lives, I could get used to this. Burgers deserve Pepsi.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Well, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's time to sign up for the Fan at 10 TV Bracket Challenge.
Sponsored by Mountain Dew, Ohio bottled, Buckeye Bold.
The most accurate bracket takes home 1,000 smackers. Reserve your spot now and compete against your favorite fan and 10 TV personalities. And compete against the ones you hate, too. Head to 971thefan.com for all the fun. Yay! March is fun. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
What does living your best nonstop life mean to you? Cheering on your team at that big game? A music festival with friends? A family vacation? Or maybe a vacation from your family? Live your best nonstop life with low fares and nonstop flights only at Allegiant.com.
Non-stop flights from Columbus to Fort Lauderdale, one way for as low as $44. Must be purchased by 4/24/2025 for travel between 3/13/2025 and 8/17/2025. Seats and dates are limited. Restrictions apply. See Allegiant.com for details.
Who
Hoops fans, are you ready to score big and get lucky this March?
What's up? It's T-Bone. I'm here to tell you that Bud Light will be holding mini hoops challenges at bars and restaurants across town over the next several weeks with one goal in mind.
To send one lucky local winner to Las Vegas where they'll compete for $10,000.
Take your shot at March Madness glory. This week, join Bud Light and watch some hoops on Saturday afternoon as they take over Pastimes Grandview and Grandview Yard. They'll be there from 2 to 6 p.m. and have a mini hoops basketball challenge
that'll give you a shot at a Vegas trip and $10,000.
The Fan Poll is brought to you by Caster Connection. Visit CasterConnection.com to shop online or to work with our Caster Solution Specialists.
The friends are the guests and listeners. Reeser and Baker just work here.
Back to work. Back to work. Everybody, work, 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 work.
You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Hi, Reese, what are on the poll today?
The Daily Fan Poll is, I think, an intelligence test, and it's sponsored by Caster Connection. Or at least today's fan poll is an intelligence test. It asks, which team's ownership group would you rather have, the Bengals or the Browns? 46% of you failed the intelligence test. 54% say the Browns. 46% say the Bengals. One team spends, the other doesn't.
Yeah, one tries. That's it. I mean, they try.
What are we doing here?
You can talk about the effectiveness, but the effort and the money behind the try is there in as big a way possible. So, all right, time for three things on a Friday. Hit it, guys.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3 things.
Saw this yesterday. Start on a melancholy note. Rest in peace to John Feinstein. John Feinstein wrote Season on the Brink, among a bunch of other books that he wrote through the year. Really one of the most prolific sports authors of a generation. But Season on the Brink really set it off. And if you are someone... It's a book that he wrote about following Bob Knight in Indiana basketball. Wrote it, I want to say in 1985 or 86. Might have been 86. They won the national title in 87. But it is a window into a program at the absolute zenith of its power that would just never be told in that way again. It's pretty wild. John was 68 when he passed, pretty stunningly. So that means he wrote it. I mean, that's almost 40 years ago. He wrote it in his late 20s, early 30s. Wrote a book of that type of consequence, and then continued as a Washington Post columnist. I remembered him in Sports Illustrated as a kid, when Sports Illustrated really mattered as well. And he was like one of the guys on college basketball, but just a titan in our business when it comes to sports journalism, reporting, and author. Was just an absolute titan.
Browns had a press conference earlier this morning in Cleveland with Myles Garrett. Rothman and Ice will have more from that. It was kind of awkward in a couple different spots. Questions set up. They didn't have audio for the first minute of the thing, despite streaming it to their several platforms. But Garrett was asked if the team shared its plans for the number 2 pick, and if that influenced his decision. He was quick with a next question. They had to have, right?
I would say, yeah. I would think he would be very privy of what the offseason plans were.
All right, we tried doing this off of memory a little bit ago, so we got to correct it. And I'm going to give you a lot of information in a little bit of time, so try to keep up. If you're podcasting us, you may have to rewind. But we got to do the ballot of the 2020 Michigan Wolverines. All right, they went 2-4 that year. I will mention 5 of those games. The first game they won, and we all thought Joe Milton was really good. By the way, any guesses as to which date the first Michigan game was in 2020?
End of October?
October 17th.
Ooh, that was a Saturday, but not that Saturday.
Okay.
It'd be the 24th, so 1 week later. Yeah. So we all think Joe Milton's really good. The next week, they lose. I said that they lost by 24. I was wrong. They lost to Michigan State by 3, but they were 21.5-point favorites because that was Mel Tucker's first year at Michigan State, and Michigan State was terrible. The next week, they lose by 17 to Indiana, but Indiana was good that year, all right? The next week, they lose 49-11 to Wisconsin, and true freshman quarterback Graham Mertz only threw for 127 yards. And then the next game, they have a triple overtime comeback victory over Rutgers in a game in which Joe Milton got benched for Cade McNamara, and Joe Milton was done starting quarterback at Michigan.
Gosh almighty. Yeah, that's wild. Absolutely. Number 2 for me. So spring has sprung, obviously. Today's absolutely picture perfect. it's a new lease on life for Buddy Garrity. He's been cooped up most of the winter. I let him run around if it's nice, and we've got the electric fence around the perimeter, so he's got 3 acres he can kind of cruise around on. My guy, though, now that the squirrels have been unattended all summer, is he ever going to catch one? No. Will it stop him from sprinting to chase them down as they go up trees over and over again? No. He's having the time of his life.
It's his reminder that it is, in fact, his yard.
Yeah,
and
that's
not
right.
theirs. And so he's got to do that policing. Did we really need a new season of Ted Lasso? Jason Sudeikis confirmed as much. There's going to be a season 4. He was on with the Kelsey brothers in their New Heights podcast. Says they're writing it now. It's going to be on Apple TV. I guess he's going to be coaching a women's soccer team, the titular character, Ted Lasso. After the 3rd season, I was the same spot I was in a lot of shows. Like, we're good. That's it.
That's a wrap.
He leaves England. End scene. You don't need to go any further. Now it feels like just a cheap money grab that will probably not land nearly as well as they think.
I learned something new about Bo today. I knew that he was from Montana. I did not know which city, but he mentioned when he was talking to Tim May that he's from Kalispell. I just
born there.
Looked it up on my phone just to see where it was, really just to see how north it was, to kind of figure out what those winters would be like. And I figured out that it's near a place called Flathead Lake.
Yes.
Which is at the southern base of something called the Rocky Mountain Trench, and it is part of a region called the Glacier Country. If you want to have a good time staring at some images, go look up Glacier Country on Google Images, and you will wish that you were not at work today.
Flathead Lake's an all-timer. It is an all-timer, and Glacier National Park is an all-timer. So, yeah, it's good looking out there. Finally, number 3 for me. Man, live today. You see the rain in the weekend. At least it'll be warmer. I believe I was right. I believe I had this. We are done with winter. That's done. It's going to be how it's going to be now, which is a day like this followed by a day in the 50s and 60s and rain, and that's kind of going to rinse and repeat. But if you can live today, make sure you do so.
Another thing I don't think we need is more scooters. The city of Columbus announced on Thursday a partnership with Vio. It's a micro-mobility company to give residents different types of transportation options. They're going to start throwing out electric scooters, bikes, and more, which I don't necessarily know what more could mean. The first fleet will be deployed on Saturday. It's going to include electric scooters, bikes, and pedal bikes. They're going to have about 500 vehicles across the city. You're going to need an app, scan a QR code. It's $1 to unlock the vehicle, 25 to 50 cents per minute to ride. Of course, rates might vary. This is like the 13th scooter e-service thing in the city that we don't need another one of.
Yeah, a lot.
And especially this weekend, don't drink and use these things.
No.
Oh, God, no.
Dave Metzel's talking Stevie J with Rothman and Ice at 12:30. Listen to it.
There you go. Have a great weekend, Cole. Great job out of you. We are back Monday. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. Rothman and Ice up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
If you haven't thought about Buckeye football today, I'm sorry to tell you that you're dead. Our condolences. Your home of the Buckeyes. The Fan.
Get ready and gear up for the Open Season Sportsman's Expo, presented by Progressive and Can-Am. Join us at the Ohio Expo Center this Friday through Sunday. You'll find hunting products and top-notch gear at show-only prices. Showcase your buck in the Trophy Deer Contest and learn from industry experts. Even trick shooting with Byron Ferguson. Discount tickets at OpenSeasonSportsman'sExpo.com through March 13th. Be sure to check out Tacticam and Toyota Tundra, official cell cam and truck of the Expo.
It's March, and you know what that means. Bracket season. You've crunched the numbers, picked your favorites, and maybe even taken a big gamble on that Cinderella team. But when it comes to your home, gambling is not an option. Spring storms are rolling in, bringing strong winds, heavy rain, and unpredictable weather. The question is your roof ready? At Newman Roofing, we don't leave anything up to chance. Whether you need a new roof, gutter replacement, or updated siding, our expert team is here to educate you, guide you, and give you the best options to fit your home's needs. No high-pressure sales, no surprises, just top-quality work from a team you can trust. That's why homeowners choose Newman Roofing, the #1 overall seed here in Columbus, because we deliver an unbeatable customer experience every single time. So, don't wait until the damage is done. Beat the storm before it ruins your big dance. Call 614-NEW-ROOF. That's 614-NEW-ROOF, or visit online at newmanroofing.com to schedule your spot this spring. Don't just get a new roof, get a Newman roof.
I found a fountain of youth down there at QC Kinetics.
That's Henry Hinton, feeling like his young, active self again after treatments at QC Kinetics.
the nation's leader in regenerative medicine.
I still have trouble walking down steps as I get older. I've had one treatment so far, and I can already tell a difference in my knee.
And that treatment at QC Kinetics used Henry's own natural healing properties, concentrated and placed right at the source of the pain. So Henry and patients just like him will enjoy long-term relief without surgery or downtime.
My knee is not hurting. I remember I was walking down some steps yesterday, and I thought, wow, this is not hurting when I walk down steps. I'm all in on it. I'm all in on QC Kinetics.
It's time to wind back the clock to days without constant joint pain. Start with a call to QC Kinetics today.
Call QC Kinetics, 380-208-4544. That's 380-208-4544. 380-208-4544.
Breaking news coming in from Bet3. Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Ohio.
Oh, by the way, Ivan's no longer on the project. His wife got a new job, so they're moving across the country.
Robin's top researcher is deviating to a new market. This isn't standard.
And now we're short-staffed. Who's going to finish all these projects?
She needs a cluster of new data analysts, and there's no margin for error.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to AT&T. How can I help?
Hey, I thought I could trust my twins with my phone, but they outnumber me, man.
Whoa, that's a lot of glitter paint. Let's trade
lives.
At AT&T, everyone can trade in an old or glittered iPhone any year, any condition, and save on a new iPhone. Ask how to get iPhone 16 Pro on us. New and existing customers. Savings vary by device and trade-in combinations. Restrictions apply. See att.com for details. AT&T. Connecting changes everything.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, hon.
My brother got life insurance from Ethos, and it only took 10 minutes. And he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit ethos.com/game. That's ethos.com/game.
Sample rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
Transforming your land with a John Deere compact tractor is as easy as connect, latch, load, haul, spread. Cutting grass is as simple as roll, click, mow. Box blading is as effortless as hook, lock, grade. And backhoeing is as convenient as turn around, switch, dig. Because when you've got the versatility to tackle just about any job and dealer support in your own backyard, you just have to get in the seat. Find the right compact tractor for you.